So guys, what if Naruto was the legendary god and demon prince of Underworld DxD harem special movie? There's been a legend about a creature whom was said to have enough power to bring destruction to everything in existence. It was said that even the almighty god was wary to face off this creature. Only three existences in the whole universe could possibly ever hope to match its might. And these three were the infinite dragon god, dragon of dreams, and the apocalypse beast themselves. These four superpowers have always been in a sort of standoff against each other. None of them dared to attack the other, because they knew if two of them were to fight, then the remaining two will wait for the proper opportunity to pounce when they will be injured enough. This can bring about the destruction of the whole universe. So, they never fought against each other, always remaining in a sort of standstill. In this group of four, one was indifferent towards humanity, opting to live in solitude. The second just liked to fly around the various parts of universe. The third one was apocalyptic in nature, always destroying something. And the last on chose to remain Earth, and after some time created a different dimension which came to be known as Underworld. He was the one who gave birth to the demon race, when God banished his favorite son Lucifer, who fell from grace and came to Underworld. He saw the potential in the ex-angel and offered him a place to stay. With time, both became good friends, and he offered Lucifer a chance to become his right-hand man and to rule the underworld alongside with him. Under both of their rule, the underworld flourished. Its people started to evolve. This evolution of demon species gave birth to what we now know as devils. But the demon lord soon became bored with the underworld, such as the curse of immortality. So one day he just gave all the responsibilities to Lucifer and vanished, never to be seen until the Great War of Factions. Lucifer even elected three other ultimate devils to help him rule over the underworld. Together they came to be known as Satans. Hundreds of years passed, and it traveled through every possible dimensions. And when he came back to his own dimension, he found out that a war is going on, and it is not only hurting everyone, but it's also negatively affecting the nature itself. But what shocked him the most was that the apocalypse beast known as Trihexa, one of the Super Four, is being attracted by all the violence and is going to attack and soon destroy the whole Earth, Underworld and heaven included. So while the war was going on, he went to confront the beast, not caring about whether or not the other two will try to seize an opportunity and strike while he will be fighting Trihexa. So immersed was he in his fight that he hardly paid any attention when the god arrived at fighting scene. After seeing the fight, God offered his help in order to seal the beast. But the only problem was that in order to seal the beast, an enormous amount of life force is needed. Now, normally he would never offer his own life force, but after sensing the constant pain that nature was already in and wanting to stop this pointless standoff between the Super Four, he offered to give his own life force if and only if God stops this pointless war once and for all, to which God agreed to instantly. So using this legend's very own life force, God created a prison for Trihexa, and together they sealed it, hoping that the beast never gets free ever again. The extraction of so much life force and constant use of his own energy to maintain the prison, so that even if someone did break the seals, the beast will still remain imprisoned as long as he himself didn't die, took their toll on him, and his body started getting weaker day by day. But even then, he had enough energy and life force to live on for many centuries. During these years, many things happened. One of them was the end of Great War, and the other was starting of civil war in Underworld between the old Satan faction and the rebels. Oh, and the head figures of two factions died too, meaning that the four Satans and God all died, though through different circumstances. No matter what happened, but he never took a part in the civil war. Not until he met her. The old Satan faction wanted to resume the Great War, but many families became fed up with the constant pointless killing. So they formed a rebellion to fight against the old Satan faction. One day, he was traveling from one part of Lilith when his nose caught a smell of blood. Deciding to follow it, he came across a very peculiar sight. What he saw in front of him can only be described as the most beautiful woman he had ever laid his eyes on. And that is saying something, seeing as he have had his fair share of affairs. But none can match this beauty. She had beautiful, long, flowing red hairs, aqua blue eyes, long eyelashes, soft, kissable lips, perfectly heart-shaped face, flawless white skin, and a figure to die for. She was wearing a set of black and silver armor. But none of this caught his attention as much as her grace, with which she was killing her foes with her red orbs of destructive energy and her sword. Littering around her were countless bodies whom he can somewhat recognize as old Satan faction members based on some of their features. The sight was truly captivating for him, and all was under the woman's control until one of her enemies got a drop on her when she killed dead what she thought to be the last of her enemies. She was stabbed in the back, and the sight of her getting stabbed snapped something within him. Quick as lightning, he killed the guy who stabbed this wonderful woman in front of him, and when he turned around, he saw her falling to the ground unconscious, so he decided to bring her with him in order to heal her wounds. After she came to the Kanzius world, he introduced himself to her and told her what happened after she was stabbed. In the beginning, she was very suspicious of him, but after several days, they started to get along pretty well. She wanted to leave as soon as was up on her feet, but he wouldn't let her leave until she was fully healed. Within the week they were together, they became good friends. Good enough for him to tell her who he really was, but she didn't seem to pay any mind to his status, which was pretty refreshing for him and just made this woman even more interested to him, whose name he learned to be Amelia Gremory. When it was time for her to leave, he decided to follow her and for the first time see just the situation of the war was really in actuality. A tear she vouched for him. He was welcomed in the rebel side, and after some time he also started helping a bit in the war. He also became friends with Amelia's brother, whose name was Surzex Gremory, and the dude was a serious siscon. But despite all his antics, the boy was strong. Strong enough to perhaps challenge even Lucifer when he was young. But he can see that Surzex will soon surpass Lucifer. None other interested him so much, not even Surzex ragtag group, though there was no doubt that they were all very strong. Nearly as strong as Surzex himself. Heck, he even showed interest in Surzex only because of his sister, otherwise he wouldn't have paid any attention to the male redhead. The war ended in Rebels' favor with Surzex, Seraphol, Ajuka, Falbium, and Amelia coming out as the main heroes. Each of them were offered a seat of power, but Amelia declined, stating that she's not the leader type. From there he got extremely close to Amelia, and over time both fell in love and got married. Though he never told her about his deteriorating health, because of the constant supply of energy and life force to the cage of Trihexa, it was clear as day that she noticed and became very worried about him. Now some would be wondering as to why a being on par with beings such as Trihexa, Great Red, and Infinity Dragon God would be dying because of energy and life force exhaustion? Well, the answer to that is even though he is an immortal who has infinite amount of energy, does not mean that he cannot die from life force exhaustion. Even the immortals needs life force to survive. At first he could have replenished his life force with the help of nature's energy, but now he just cannot bring himself to do that. The constant wars has corrupted the nature's energy, and even though he can keep his mind in order even with all the madness and the energy, he just cannot bring himself to use it, especially now that he has a family. He just cannot leave them to go to another dimension to refill his life force, as it will take nearly 200 years of constant supply for him to be healthy again, and he just cannot leave his wife for that long. So he opted to stay in this dimension and be with his family, never once telling his wife the way to save his life, because he knew that she will force him to go. After nearly 182 years, his wife finally got pregnant. It took this long because of the low birth rate among devils, and with him, what he is the possibility of birth went even more down. It is the night of his child's birth, the very moment he has been waiting for so long, the moment when his legacy breaths its very first breath in this world. He can't be any more ecstatic than he is right now. Every fiber of his being is jumping with joy. His time has passed nearly 6 months ago, and the only thing keeping him alive right now is the burning will to see his child at least one time. And finally that moment has arrived. His wife has given birth to a healthy baby boy. Holding his son in his arms, he saw that his son has a pointy ears just like him along with the red hairs that he no doubt inherited from his wife. The baby also seems to have a bit sharper nails than a newborn should have. Currently his son was pulling on his hairs, and from what he can feel, the little kid one heck of a grip. You're gonna be mighty strong, just like your old man kid. He spoke to the baby with a prideful smile on his. Looking out the window, he saw a storm brewing up in the sky, rain falling down hard and lightning shining in the clouded sky. My son is a stormborn. It's only fitting that he has a name to denote it too. And since you were adamant about him having Gremory as a surname, then I get to pick his first name. And I want it to be of the same dialect as mine, he said to his bedridden wife, who just smiled and gave him a nod. Based on his strength and the climate today, I'm going to name him Naruto. How does Naruto Gremory sound, kid? He asked his son in a jovial tone, who only gurgled and pulled on his hairs a little harder. Are you sure you aren't naming him based on your obsession with ramen, dear? And from the looks of it, he doesn't like the name if him pulling your hairs is any indication. Amelia asked back with a slight laugh. Oh, he likes it all right. This is the way that warriors shows their approval, he said while laughing. Soon the baby, too, started giggling cutely, which only made his coo at the cute sight in front of her. And that's how the legacy of one of the strongest beings to ever exist came into existence. This is how the son of the great Mizoka was born. This is how Raisin Tashin's son was born. It has been 3 months since Naruto's birth and 2.5 months since the demise of Raisin. Amelia had been an emotional wreck since then, but was able to hold on with the help of her family, and mainly for her son. Right now, though, the situation is not looking good at all for Amelia, as she was critically injured. Just a few hours ago, she had been sitting in a carriage with her son, traveling to visit her good friend Seraphal Leviathan, when her carriage was attacked by some of the remaining old Satan faction's devils. They said that their mission was to eliminate the current heir and the possible next heir of the Gremory clan. That's right after Surzex became Satan Lucifer. She was made the new heir, and now with Naruto being her son, is the next in line to be the heir of Gremory clan. Her guards died soon as they were ambushed in the very starting of the attack, but she had been able to kill all of them despite there being 2 ultimate class devils amongst them. But fighting and protecting her son at the same time was very difficult, so she had to take some attacks on her body in order to shield her son. Currently, she is carrying her son back to her house, not paying any attention to her injuries, and trying to calm Naruto, who, as if sensing the condition of his mother, became very stressed and started crying. Baby, don't cry. We are almost there. Soon everything is going to be all right, Amelia said with a small smile on her face as she reached the gates of Gremory Estate. As soon as the guards saw her, they rushed towards her and took her and Naruto to the infirmary and notified Lord Gremory, Lady Gremory, Surzex, and Graphia of the situation. The door of the infirmary blew open as Surzex entered the room with the rest of the family members following behind. Who did this? He asked his sister in a very dark tone, which did not suit his character. It was the old Satan faction. They wanted to kill off the current and next heir of our clan. Amelia replied as she held on to Naruto, even with her body weakening constantly. You should have taken more guards with you, Vanelena said with a bit of anger in her voice, both for her daughter's lack of precaution and at the old Satan faction. Currently, she was sporting a belly of a 3 to 4 months pregnant mother. As Amelia made to reply, Surzex cut her off. Doctor, tell me that my sister and nephew are going to be okay. Feeling the anger and desperation in the current Lucifer's voice, the doctor replied meekly, I am sorry, Mao-sama, but Amelia-sama's injuries are terminal. But Naruto-sama is perfectly fine. Destructive red energy bursted out around Surzex, and the whole medical staff went down on their knees shaking in fear. Even little Naruto started crying, feeling the dense killing intent. Brother, calm down. You're going to hurt Naruchan this way. Besides, I have a favor to ask from you, Amelia said in a weak voice. Surzex immediately called off his power and nodded for Amelia to continue. I know that I am not going to make it. This poor child has already lost his father, and now he's going to lose his mother too. I don't want my baby to become an orphan, brother. I would have asked mother and father, but they themselves are expecting a child. So please promise me, Surzex. Promise me that you will give him the love of a father and Graphia. Please give him love of a mother in my stead, please. Make this a mother's last request, please, please, Amelia said as she started crying softly by the end of the speech. Seeing the sight before them broke the hearts of every person present in the room. Tears started pouring down everyone's face as they saw this heart-wrenching scene in front of them. Sniffing a bit, Surzex nodded again and said, I promise, Aimten, I will love him as if he were my own son. He is already a family to me. It doesn't matter if I am his blood father or not. From this moment onwards, Naruto is my son. And if anyone thinks otherwise, then they can take it up to me, and I will make sure that they know why it is unwise to anger a Satan. Walking in front of the mother and child duo, Graphia sat down on the bed beside Amelia and placed a gentle hand on Amelia's thigh. You don't have to worry a bit, Amelia-sama. Naruto is not going to become an orphan. I will be his mother, though I can never replace you, but I will try my best to be the mother to him that you want me to be, Graphia said as her normally strict facade broke and tears started streaming down her face. Thank you, both of you. Thank you so much. Mom and Dad, please look out for my little maelstrom, will you? With those words, Amelia softy passed Naruto to Graphia and closed her eyes. The Gremory clan is one of the remaining devil clans of 72 pillars and one of the highest-ranking and famous devil families. They are ranked at Duke. The members of Gremory clan are all characterized with their red hair color and powerful magic talent. The Gremory clan are beings with extraordinary affection among the devils. As such, they do not discriminate themselves with their servants. The Gremory clan is also famous for the production of current Lucifer Surzex. Speaking of Surzex, we can currently find the aforementioned Lucifer running down the halls of Gremory Mansion, along with his son Naruto. Both of them were running like their very lives depends on it. In the last 5 years, Naruto has grown a lot. His red hairs are spiked in all directions with 2 bangs framing his face, reaching his cheeks. His face is round in shape with baby fat, which was a given due to his age. His eyes are golden in color along with black slits for pupils, something that he inherited from his original father. Along with his elf-like pointy ears, currently he had a red hoodie along with black shorts which has golden side strips on it. The reason behind their hysteric running is, "Come back here you two, and take your punishment like men," came a clearly enraged female shout from behind them. Hearing the shout, both father and son duo redoubled their efforts with absolutely terrified looks on their faces. "Come on, Dad, do something. You are her husband. Go and stop her, or she will catch up with us soon, and then there will be hell to pay. Go and take your punishment, Dad." Naruto yelled over to his father, who was also running like the Satan himself was on his tail. Pun intended. "What? You go and take the punishment. This was your idea anyway. I warned you what will happen if she finds out." Surzex yelled back in an even more terrified tone, all the while trying to lose the she-devil trailing them. "I don't remember you saying that. In fact, if I remember correctly, then it was you who was pressuring me into this," Naruto yelled as he tried to speed up his pace. So much were the pair of father and son distracted in their shouting and running that they totally missed an ice wall blocking their path and face slammed into it. Falling down pathetically, the duo slowly turned around and saw a terrifying scene in front of them, causing them to hug each other and scream out like little girls. Standing in front of them was Grayfia. Her once beautiful silver hairs were dyed orange, and her cloths were an odd mixture of pink and yellow. She was tapping her left foot, and a tick mark was visible on her forehead from the anger that she was feeling. She also had her arms folded under her bust, giving her an image of a pissed-off woman. "Well, what do you both have to say for yourself, huh?" she asked in a low tone, frightening both of them even more of the upcoming doom. Suddenly an idea came to Naruto's mind, and he quickly untangled himself from his father and looked up at his mother with the best puppy dog-eyed look that he could muster, with tears shinning in the corners of his eyes, and somehow his ears dropped like a kicked puppy, just added more fuel to the already lethal puppy dog look. "I am sorry, Mommy. I tried to say no, but Dad just forced me to take part in it. I will not do it again, Mommy," Naruto said in the best sad tone that he could muster at that moment, with the fake tears running down his face. All of the anger quickly fled from Grayfia's face after seeing her son's look, and she immediately went down to her knees, scooping Naruto in a tight hug, all the while saying, "Don't worry, baby, it's all right. I know it wasn't your fault. Your father is a mean man, and I will make sure to punish him extra hard for dragging you into this. Now what do you say, honey? Do you want to eat some ramen?" "Okay, Mommy, but please don't hurt Dad too much. He was just probably trying to play with me, since he is mostly busy and only has very little time to play," Naruto said, once again using his puppy dog-eyed look full force, causing Grayfia to hug him even more tightly. "My little baby is so understanding. If only your father could be as smart as you," she said, glaring at the still cowering Surzex, completely missing the wink and teasing look her son was sending towards his father, as if saying, "You are in for it now, sucker." "Bibo, but Grayfia-chan, it was Naruto's idea to prank you. I am just an innocent person stuck in the wrong place." Surzex tried to defend himself, but only ended up getting glared at even harder. "Is that so? I see you need to be disciplined properly, Surzex-sama," Grayfia said in an emotionless tone, freaking out both the males present there with Naruto now, sending his father a sympathetic look. "Hannah, can you please take Naruto to his room and prepare some ramen for him? Oh, and make sure that he takes his bath first," Grayfia called out loudly and is being magically summoned. A beautiful girl who looked to be in her mid-teens appeared behind her. Hannah was a beautiful girl with light brown skin and navy blue eyes. Her pale lavender hair extended to her mid-back, and the bottom half of her hairs were braided and tied using an indigo ribbon. She was wearing a customary maid outfit nearly identical to Grayfia's. Her full name was Hannah Lucifuge, and she was Grayfia's niece. Her mother was Greyfia's elder sister who, along with Greyfia, joined the rebel faction at the time of Civil War, though unfortunately, she passed away during the childbirth. Hannah's father, though, is a story for another time. Hannah is also an apprentice of Greyfia. So she, just like her sensei/aunt, specializes in ice spells, though that does not mean that ice spells are all she knew. She is also a proficient wind and water magic user and has a good head on her shoulders, plus she has a good grasp on martial arts too. She is also Naruto's personal maid as well as his bodyguard. Of course, sensei, I am always happy to be of any assistance, Hannah said as she bowed her head to the head. Maid then turned and bowed towards Surzex and Naruto. Good, take Naruto to his room. I have a husband to punish for trying to corrupt my son, Greyfia said as she finally let go of Naruto and moved towards Surzex, who was trying to claw his way through the ice wall, when she pinched his right cheek and dragged him down the hall, all the while ignoring the Satan's pleas to let go of his cheek. Naruto and Hannah could only watch with sweat drops on the back of their heads at the antics of the strongest couple of Underworld. Finally having enough, Naruto turned towards his personal maid and said, "Nay, Hannah-chan, let's go and have some ramen. I am really hungry right now." Looking towards her master, Hannah smiled and replied, "As you wish, Naruto-sama, but first let's have a bath, shall we?" "What? But I am so hungry. I can take a bath later on. Come on, make some ramen for me already." Naruto whined, wanting to eat ramen as soon as possible. "If that's what you want, then I will do just that, Naruto-sama. But first I will have to take Sensei's permission, seeing as it was her who gave me the order to give you a bath first. Do you want me to go and ask for her permission, Naruto-sama?" Hannah asked in a deceptively innocent tone, causing Naruto to break out in cold sweat at the mere thought of angering his mother. And he was sure that this time, even his ultimate weapon, the puppy dog, I'd look, won't work against her either. No need to get mom involved in this, Hannah-chan. I was just joking around. Let's go and take a bath," Naruto exclaimed in a fake cheer, and running towards his room to dodge his mother's wrath. Sometime later in the evening, after the whole prank fiasco, Surzex returned to his office with his queen/wife standing dutifully at his side, while in front of them stood a member of his peerage. The person in front of them appeared to be a man in his late 20s. He was wearing a traditional Shizengumi uniform, which consists of a haori and hakama over a kimono with a white tsuki crossed over his chest and tied in the back. The haori was colored light blue, and the sleeves were trimmed with light mountain strips. This man's name was Tsuji Okita, and he was Surzex's knight. "Are you 100% sure about this, Tsuji?" Surzex asked in a serious tone, his demeanor being totally different from what it was early in the morning. Right now, there was no playfulness in his attitude, and his whole presence screamed power. Power that can not only bring destruction to those whom he wished to harm, but can also erase their very existence from the face of the earth. "Yes, Surzex-sama, I am 100% sure about this. There is a terrorist organization known as Chaos Brigade in motion, and the old Satan faction is a part of it. By now, you must have deduced that their goal has to do something with world domination, which means that they will do anything and use any means to attain their goals, and Naruto-sama can be one of their targets too, being the biological son of Raisin-sama himself, even if that information is strictly confidential, but secrets of these kinds tends to come out sooner or later," Tsuji explained in a grave tone. Knowing the effect this terrorist organization can have on the already fragile peace between the factions and the mayhem a group of dangerous terrorists can cause, especially if they get their hands on someone with the potential to surpass even the original Mizoko. Standing baying Surzex silently, till now Greyfia had an emotionless look on her face, but anyone who knew her better can tell that she was greatly troubled by the news and worried for her son's well-being. Her fists were clenched tightly at her sides, and from time to time a muscle would jump on her jaw, indicating that she was gritting her teeth too. Looking towards Tsuji, Greyfia said in a low tone, but was clearly heard by the other members of the room very clearly, "I will never allow anyone to get their filthy hands on my son. I will die before I will ever let anything happen to him." Yes, she was very possessive of Naruto. It does not matter if they were blood-related or not. He was her son, and she will be damned if she will let anything happen to him. Looking towards his wife, Surzex smiled at her response to this news. It was good to see his normally stoic wife act so passionate towards anyone. In these past 5 years, he had seen a totally different side of Greyfia, and he has to say, he was liking it more and more. Motherhood definitely suits her. "Don't worry, Greyfia. I won't let anything happen to him as long as I am alive either. He is our son, and I will personally destroy this whole organization if I have to just to ensure his safety," Surzek said, gaining a small smile from his wife in response before he looked towards his knight and continued, "Now, Suji, tell me everything that we know about this organization." Nodding in response, Suji replied, "Yes, Surzek-sama. Well, from what we know, this organization is divided into various segments and Old Satan faction is one of them. Other than that, all we know is that it also contains rogue mages, devils, fallen angels, and exorcists. The identity of their leader still eludes us, but she has to be someone very powerful to be able to control such chaotic people." Humming in response, Surzex contemplated on the information he was provided with and thinking of the ways to handle this problem without starting another great war. While he was busy with his line of thoughts, Suji suddenly said, "Surzex-sama, if you don't mind, I would like to suggest that we should training Naruro-sama now. It will make it harder for anyone to hurt him if he has a good grasp on his powers. Whether we want to acknowledge it or not. He is a Mizoku, and sooner or later he is going to be in harm's way. It will be good if he can handle himself at that time. We cannot possibly be there to guard him all the time." Listening to what Suji was suggesting, Grafia immediately interrupted, stopping Surzex before he could formulate his own response. "Absolutely not. He is still too young to start training. We never got to have our own proper childhood. I don't want my son to lose his either." Standing up from his seat, Surzex turned towards Grafia and spoke in a serious tone, making it clear that what he has to say is not something to be debated on. "I know where you are coming from, Grafia, but what Suji is saying also holds some merit. We won't be taking away his childhood. The situations are way too much different for that to happen, but you have to understand that it is for his own safety that he knows how to not only protect himself, but also his precious people. That child has more raw energy than even me when I was fighting in the Civil War. If we do not teach him how to use it properly, then it can prove to be dangerous to everyone around him. Plus, I can clearly sense that he has inherited power of destruction from Amelia, making it even more important to start his training now." Hearing her husband's words, all Grafia could do was give a small nod, though the frown on her face was making it clear that she does not like the idea of training her baby, who is only 5 years old. His age is to be playing with toys, not training to master his power. But even she has to admit that it will be great to know that Naruto can handle himself out there, especially with this danger looming over their heads. "Good. Now please go and inform Naruto that his training starts from tomorrow early morning and that I will be personally training him myself. On the few occasions where I will not be able to do so, you will have to take over his training for me, Grafia. I am sure he will be ecstatic after hearing this news, as he has been pestering me to train him as of lately," Surzex ordered as he turned to discuss some other business with his knight, while Grafia gave a small bow and went on to complete the task given to her. Next day, early morning. True to Surzek's words, Naruto became very excited when he heard that he will be starting his training and under the guidance of his father at that, who was known as the strongest devil in existence. He was determined to surpass his father and knew that in order to do so, he has to train very hard, and he will do just that. There was no way that he was going to give up his dream of surpassing his father. No matter how hard he has to train, no matter how much pain he will have to suffer, he will persevere through it all, and he will achieve his goal no matter what. It was early in the morning, and we can already see the father and son duo standing opposite to each other in one of Surzek's personal training ground. After all, even a Satan has to train in order to keep his skills sharp. Standing few yards away from them were Grafia and Hannah, who were observing the duo and were present to provide with any sort of assistance that could be required from them. Looking at his son, Surzek said in a completely serious tone, "Okay, Naruto, listen well. While we are training, I will forget that you are my son, and you will forget that I am your father. During our training time, you will refer to me as either sensei or master. I will not be going easy on you, so if you have any second thoughts about our training, then tell me now, because once we start, I will stop at nothing. Do you understand?" Gaining a determined look on his face, Naruto brought his fist up to his face level and spoke with great confidence. "I am not afraid of you or your training, and one day I am going to surpass you no matter what. So bring it on, and do your worst, because I am not going to give up, old man. That's a promise of a lifetime." As soon as he finished speaking, Naruto was bonked on the top of his head by his father, who yelled comically, "Who are you calling old, you brat? I will have you know that I am very much a young man. And what did I say about calling me sensei or master? After that, Surzek stood up straight and then smiled a bit, his mood changing like a bipolar person, and said, though I like your confidence, let's see how far you can maintain it. Now get into a stance which makes you feel strong, and then close your eyes and concentrate inwards. Try to spot your energy, and when you do, grab onto it and summon it outside of your body as much as you can. Listening to his father Naruto, immediately got into something similar to a horse stance and focused while trying to locate his energy. Locating it was pretty easy, as even he could sense just how large his energy pool was, though grabbing it and summoning it outside was a totally different case due to the chaotic nature of his energy. But he kept on trying, and finally, after what felt like hours to him, but were only a few minutes in reality, he was able to summon his energy. Since his eyes were closed, Naruto was not able to see everyone's reaction to his energy, which varied from shock to awe to pride. Finally opening his eyes, Naruto looked down at his body and saw it being surrounded by dark red energy, which was coming out of him in waves. Grinning like a fool, he looked up towards his father and mother and yelled in excitement, "Look, Dad, Mom, I did it. I summoned my energy. Woohoo, it feels awesome. I feel so strong." Before he could continue his rant, he was bonked on top of his head, once again effectively cutting off his energy flow and bringing him down from his energy rush and knocking him down. Looking up, he saw that it was Surzex who had bonked him once again. Clearly agitated by this action of his father's, Naruto jumped back to his feet and yelled, "What's the big idea, old man? I just summoned my energy, didn't I?" Only to be bonked once again and falling down again, but with swirls in his eyes, while Surzex was once again yelling comically, "Don't call me old. I am not old. I told you to call me sensei, didn't I?" And once again, he got serious, immediately making Naruto think that his father must have had some of his screw loose when he heard Surzex saying, "As for why I did that, well, Naruto, you have to understand that you have lots of energy, and as you will learn in the future, just exerting this much raw power out can have negative effects on other people who are not used to being in the presence of this level of energy. Just look what it did to Hana." And true to his father's words, just as Naruto looked in the direction of his personal maid, he saw her sitting on her knees with her hands on the ground and panting hard as if she had just came back from running a marathon. Drops of sweat were tickling down from her face, and in front of her was a barrier erected courtesy of his mother. Seeing what he had unconsciously done to his best friend and made caused him to feel so much guilt that he could only utter, "I did an I dash," until he felt a hand on top his head and ruffling his hairs. Looking up, he saw that it was his father who was ruffling his hairs with a warm smile on his face. "Don't worry too much, kiddo. Just keep in mind that this power that you have can be just as much harmful to your friends as it can be to your foes. What you did right now was amazing, and I am very proud of you. But you have to understand that in order to not hurt your friends, you have to learn how to control your powers, which I am pretty sure you could do, as I myself had once faced this problem. But when I learned how to control it properly, I became that much more effective in combat and less of a danger to my friends. When you summoned your power, you also summoned power or destruction with it by mistake, which lead to this situation. But now that we know what we have to do, we can overcome every problem. Remember that we are always here for you and will always help. All I ask from you is that you give it your 100% while training, and I promise to you that you will see the fruits that hard work can bear in the future. So what do you say, son? Are you really ready to train properly now?" Surzex said in a warm, fatherly manner, soothing some of Naruto's worries. As he turned towards Hana once more, he saw that she had recovered now and was standing once again, though her face was an emotionless mask as she started walking towards him, coming to a stop as she reached her destination. The Lavenderette once again went down to her in front of her master and bowed her head low before Naruto could even say anything. "I am sorry, Naruto-sama. Please forgive me for my weakness. I am supposed to be your bodyguard, and I can't even withstand the pressure of your power. It's pathetic, but I swear to you, please just give me one more chance, and I will get strong enough to be able to stand by your side," Hana said as tears started to fall from her eyes, feeling utterly pathetic for being weak even after all this training. Naruto just there in shock, not being able to understand how can someone else blame themselves for his mistake. It was his fault that Hana had to go through that. He should be the one apologizing, not her. Taking his silence as rejection to her apology, Hana began to feel a sense of dread rising within her. What if her weakness had pushed Naruto-sama away from her? She had not said anything yet, but her Naruto-sama was very precious to her. He was her first and only friend. It was because of him that she even started training under her aunt. What will she do if he will decide that he wants someone else as his bodyguard? Wah. Her line of thoughts were cut short when she felt two small hands on shoulders forcing her to sit up and look at her master. What she saw surprised her a great deal. Sitting in front of her, giving her a teary smile, was her master. His eyes shined with determination, despite few tears visible in them. I should be the one saying sorry, Hana-chan. It's my fault that this happened, and for a second there I thought that you would be afraid of me, but I am thankful that I was wrong. But I promise to you that I will get my power under control and will continue to grow stronger and stronger. All I need from you is a promise to be there with me forever and to never leave my side. We will grow stronger together. So what do you say, Hana-chan? Want to give it a shot? Naruto said with such sincerity that it left Hana flabbergasted. Coming out of her shock, Hana suddenly lunged forward and hugged Naruto tightly, which he returned wholeheartedly. Sobbing some more, Hana replied, I swear to you, Naruto-sama, I will always be by your side. It's a promise of a lifetime. Standing a bit away from the hugging duo were Surzex and Grafia, smiling at the heartfelt scene in front of them. They are so proud of their son that they can't even begin to express it. Grafia tried to go and comfort her son, but was stopped by Surzex, who shook his head, saying that this will help both Naruto and Hana to grow stronger both physically and mentally, and will strengthen their bond. So they silently left the two for a bit so that they can have some alone time, all the while wondering what the future has in store for them. The Gremory house is one of the most powerful and most influential family in the whole underworld. The riches they have is beyond any mere mortal's comprehension. Same goes for their mansion. The Gremory mansion is just outstandingly huge and beautiful, even by other devil standard, though most of the remaining pillars also have mansions of their own, rivaling the sheer size of this grand mansion. Everything was quiet and peaceful until a loud noise that sounded eerily similar to a blast resonated from the Gremory mansion. The blast was so sudden and so loud that it scared most of the people passing by this enormous house. The source of this blast came from one of the forest areas within the Gremory property. Just as the aftershock of first blast died down, another blast went off, and this one was even more powerful than the previous blast, as it shook nearly everything within a radius of few miles. As we move towards the source of these blasts, we can see two figures standing nearly 20 meters away from one another as they looked at each other with scrutinizing gazes, as if trying to study the other and guessing the next move of their opponent as dust and smoke cleared up, showing these figures clearly. As dust settled down completely, it revealed one of the figures to be other than Surzex Lucifer, one of the four Satans of Underworld himself. Surzex appeared to be just fine other than a few scratches on his armor and a very faint bruise on his right cheek. In comparison to Surzex, his opponent appeared to be worse for wear, as his shirt was totally obliterated, if he had any from the beginning, while his pants were also in very bad condition, having what appeared to be dried blood on them. This figure seemed to be no older than a kid of 10 or 11 years of age, except his physique just screamed otherwise. This kid has some serious muscles for someone so young, even though his face still has baby fat on it. The reason he looked like a 10-year-old was due to the amount of training he had done to give him a physique like this, despite only being 8 years old. This person is none other than Naruto Gremory, adopted son Surzex and heir of Gremory family. Naruto was panting hard as he tried to stay awake and keep on fighting, but it was becoming harder to even breath properly as he stumbled a bit and fell down to a knee. Immediately after seeing his son falling down, Surzex appeared next to him and said, I think that's enough for today, Naruto. You have done more than enough for one day. Take some rest, and we will continue our spar later on. Looking up at his father with some difficulty, Naruto said through his pants, I can still keep on going, father. Let's just fight a little bit more. I nearly had you with my last attack. Smirking at his son's drive, Surzex shook his head and said in an amused tone, Yeah, right. You are 1,000 years too early to fight me properly, Brad. Now get some rest, otherwise your mother will beat both of us for overdoing it. Again, Naruto went pale at the mention of his mother and the scolding he got from her for going overboard while training last time, which resulted in him passing out due to the strain he put his body through. He still can feel some phantom pain from the cheek pinching that she gave him that day. So doing the smart thing for once, Naruto nodded his head, signifying the end of his training session for today, and made to stand up, but due to extreme exhaustion, he ended up stumbling again and would have fallen flat on his face had his father not caught him. Chuckling at his son, Surzex looked towards the audience who were watching the two fight. Well, it was more like a single-sided fight. Looking at one of them in particular, Surzex called out, "Hana-chan, would you please take Naruto to his room so he can rest, and make sure to clean him up first, as it seems he has already fallen asleep and won't be able to do so himself." Nodding her head, Hana quickly ran up to the father and son duo and took Naruto swiftly and gently from Surzex with practiced ease, as if she had been doing this for all of her life. In last 3 years, Hana has grown into a very beautiful teen whose beauty can be easily compared to the likes of Graphia. Now at the age of 16, Hana has grown a little taller and gained a voluptuous figure with ample physique, which have well-proportioned assets in all the right places. Her dress for the most part remains same, except for the additional made headband securely placed on her head, picking Naruto up in a bridal style with ease, which caused one of the remaining audience to laugh at the scene. Hana swiftly moved in the direction of the main building of Gremory Estate and where Naruto's room exists. Just as she disappeared from the view, Surzex turned towards the remaining 2 people in the training field other than him. The first person standing on the right side was none other than his sweet little sister, the apple of his eyes, the cutest girl in the whole universe in his mind, and the one who can make him do nearly everything with just a single pout. This girl was none other than Rias Gremory, second in line for the heir of Gremory family, and also third child of Vanelena and Zeoticus Gremory. Rias is a young girl, only few months younger than Naruto. She has white skin along with blue-green eyes and the infamous red hairs of Gremory clan. She appeared to have some baby fat on her face and arms, but that is to be expected since, unlike Naruto, she never bothered to train her body and looked every bit like a 7-year-old kid. The last person standing in front of Surzex was a young boy about a year older than Rias and few months older than Naruto. He has short, spiky black hair and violet eyes. His build was nearly similar to that of Naruto's, clearly showing the amount of physical exercise this boy put himself through. This young man is none other than Saraward Bale, former heir of Bale clan. He, along with his mother, were banished from said clan's main house because he does not possess the famous power of destruction of his family. Saraward's father blamed his mother, Miss LaBale, for his lack of inheritance of power of destruction and banished the two to the countryside and made his younger half-brother Magdaran Bale the heir of their clan. When his Aunt Vanelena found out about this, she immediately sought the two out and brought them to Gremory Estate with her. At first, the mother-son duo were against the idea, but soon accepted it when they saw that Vanelena was not going to give up in taking them with her. After arriving to the Gremory Estate, Saraward for the first time met Naruto. He had met Rias before when she, along with her parents, came to Bale Estate in order to introduce Rias to her mother's family, but this was the first time when he met Naruto. He had heard rumors from his clan members that Naruto is supposed to be some sort of second coming of Surzex with the amount of raw potential and power the boy has. Naruto also seems to inherit power of destruction too, which just pissed him off. So he challenged Naruto to a fight. What happened next was more of a massacre than a fight, as Saraward never even stood a chance against the young Gremory despite him not even using any sort of magic during their fight. This was just first of his many defeats he faced at Naruto's hand, which just pissed him more and made him bitter towards everyone other than his mother. Finally having enough, one day Naruto, instead of fighting Saraward, asked him to talk and find out what his deal was. Flashback begin asterisk. Naruto, fight me. I will beat you for sure this time. Saraward challenged Naruto, who was currently lazing around in his room with Rias and Hana. Today was supposed to be anime night, and they had to watch anime together as per Rias' order. It wasn't like he had to follow her orders. It was the other way around in actuality, seeing as he is the heir. So Rias has to follow his orders according to the clan rules. Despite all of this, he never ever tried to order Rias or anyone else around. He loves Rias way too much to treat her like that, and his mother had made sure to drill the fact to respect others in his head. There were several occasions where he got too arrogant for his own good, but those cases were quickly beaten out of his head either by Graphia, Surzex, or Vanelena. They made absolutely sure to teach their children the true meaning of respect, compassion, love, and family. Even Rias was not a stranger to this method. Anyway, today was supposed to be an anime night, and Naruto was currently using Hana's lap as a pillow as said girl was stroking his red hairs softly, all the while smiling softly at her master. Whereas Rias was browsing through all the anime series that they have in order to select one for tonight. Their peace was disturbed when Saraward barged in the room, causing Hana to stop smiling and give him a frown, Rias to stop her browsing and look up to see what this commotion was about, and Naruto to let out a tired sigh as he picked his head up from Hana's lap and sat up, causing said maid to frown in Sarawag's direction even harder. Letting out another tired sigh, Naruto looked at Sarawag first, and then the other two occupants of his room, and said, "Ri-chan, Hana-chan, please give me a moment to talk alone with Sarawag. I will call you back when we are done with our talk." Immediately, Hana stood up, bowed, and said, "As you wish, Naruto-sama. I will be waiting outside till you are finished with your talks." With that, Hana left the room, but not before giving Sarawag one last glare. Meanwhile, Rias stood up with her hands placed on her hips, her cheeks puffed up as she tried her best to glare at her best friend/nephew/brother. "You're not going to skip on me again, are you, Naru? This is our special night. You promise that you will watch twice the amount of animes with me for missing out on our last time." The relationship between Rias and Naruto is, to be put simply, complex. In actuality, she is his aunt, seeing as both Naruto's adopted father and his actual mother are, or were, siblings of Rias. But despite that, they act more like best friends or brother/sister, with him being the older brother, as it would be really awkward to call someone so small aunt. Since they were little, both Rias and Naruto have been nearly inseparable. They always ate together, bathed together, and most of the times even slept together, as she would constantly infiltrate his room at nights. Not that he minds sleeping with her, as she is one of his most precious person. Moving back to the topic hand, Naruto sighed again as he stood up from his bed, took hold of Rias's shoulders, and said in a calm voice, "Richan, I promise that we will watch whatever you want as soon as I am done talking with Sarawag. So please give me a minute or two, okay?" Still looking at Naruto, with a pout on her lips, Rias raised up her pinky finger in front of his face and said, "Pinky promise?" Smiling, Naruto interlinked his own pinky finger with her and replied, "Pinky promise." Happy at the promise made by between them, Rias smiled brightly as she laid a big sloppy kiss at Naruto's cheek and ran out of the room. Just as Rias went out of the room, everything became quiet and awkward for two boys as they tried to think any way to start their conversation. Soon coming out of his awkward stupor, Sarawag asked Naruto in an impatient tone, "What is it that you want to talk about, Naruto? Make it quick so that I can kick you ass once and for all." Looking towards Sarawag and putting on his best stern face, which looked ridiculous on someone so young, Naruto finally asked what has been bothering him for a while. "Why do you want to beat me so badly, Sarawag? What is it that you have against me? Have I done something to offend you other than beating you at our spars?" Now this threw Sarawag off the loop, as he had not expected Naruto to ask that. Quite frankly, he thought that Naruto sent Rias and Hana out just so that he could make fun of without getting caught, but apparently he thought wrong. Quickly regaining his bearings, Sarawag looked at Naruto as he raised his fist and spoke angrily. "What do you mean? Why do I want to beat you? Isn't it obvious? If I can beat you, then it will prove that I am powerful and father will have to take mom and me back. You have had everything given to you on a silver platter, while I on the other was banished from my home just because I cannot use power or destruction. It's not fair. I haven't done anything to deserve this kind of treatment from my own clan." Now this shocked Naruto. He never knew that Sarawag felt this way about him, and he don't know why, but he can somewhat understand from where exactly these emotions of Sarawag's are coming from. Naruto has everything that Sarawag ever wanted, and this has led the young Bale to believe that if he can defeat Naruto, then everything will become alright. But there are some problems with this plan. First being that Naruto was a Gremory, not a Bale, and while defeating him would prove the Bale is competent, but it still won't return him his former position in his clan. And the second problem was that while Sarawag was strong, very much for his age, he was still no match for Naruto because unlike him, Naruto has been training for last 1.5 years nonstop, and this training has been done under the supervision of the strongest devil alive. Shaking his head in order to clear such thoughts from his head, Naruto looked at Sarawag and spoke in an understanding tone. "You are right, Sarawag. I do have it way more easy than you, but you also have to understand that power of destruction is just a tool. It is only as strong as its wielder. If you really want to become strong, then do something about it instead of just complaining and trying to pick up fights with stronger people. You have no idea how hard I have to train in order to be as strong as I am today. You want to get your old position back, then train. Train until every bone in your body breaks. and then train some more. There are no shortcuts to gain power in this world, Sarawag. And even if there are, then they can never make you as strong as you can be with good old hard work. Listening to such compassionate words rendered Sarawag speechless, as the only thing he could do was stare at Naruto in shock and think about the words coming out of the redhead's mouth seriously. Seeing that his words are getting into Sarawag's head, Naruto continued, "If you fall, then get back up and try even harder than before. If you are all alone, then ask for help and know that there will always be people who will be more than happy to help you. You are not alone, Sarawag. You have Mother and you have us. We are family, and I will help you in any way that I can. I will help you become stronger, Sarawag, and I promise that soon you will have your former position back." Naruto then placed a hand on Sarawag's shoulder and asked, "So what do you say, Sarawag? Want to train with from now on?" Sarawag had his eyes shadowed by his hairs, was trying his best to control his tears. Finally, having gained somewhat control on his overwhelming emotions, he muttered, let's train and grow stronger together, but you will always be my eternal rival, Naruto, and don't you dare lose to anyone before we have our ultimate showdown." Smiling at his new friend/rival, Naruto replied, "Hi, and you too, Sarawag, don't lose to anyone before that. It's a promise of lifetime." "Yes, it's a promise of lifetime," Sarawag replied as he shook hands with Naruto, solidifying their promise. "Well, we should call Richan and Hanachan back before they get angry. Come on, Sarawag, watch anime with us. At least that way I can have some guy company too," Naruto said as he moved towards the door to call Rias and Hana, while Sarawag just nodded and followed behind him. All the while, these two were completely unaware of their respective mother's presence, who were quietly listening to their children's talk and were smiling at each other, obviously proud of their respective kids. This was the day which gave birth to the friendship of future strongest devils to ever exist. Flashback and asterisk. Present time asterisk. Smiling at two children in front of him, Surzex beckoned them to come closer and said, "Now it's your turn to spar with me, Sarawak, and while we are fighting, Rias Tan, why don't you practice your long-ranged attacks? After that, we can work on fine-tuning them." "Okay." Nodding their heads, both kids quickly get to their tasks as another fighting beating ensued, and that's how most of the days at Gremory Mansion went for its occupants. One year and 6 months later, many humans thought that Underworld is a place where souls of dead people goes to. They believe that people who have committed some sort of sins have their souls taken to the Underworld by either the death god or by some demon, and then are tortured for eternity. These kinds of stories were made up by humans to stop their people from committing atrocities. Not that it ever stopped those who wanted to do bad things to other people. Many humans believe that Underworld exists beneath the Earth's surface. This cannot possibly be any more of a lie than saying that Earth is flat. All of these tactless and baseless guesses are just that, guesses. In truth, Underworld exists in a different dimension than Earth. And no, there are no flesh-eating zombies or soul-eating demons in there. Well, not anymore at least. Underworld is nearly just as huge as Earth itself and is inhabited by various species. The main two species who calls Underworld their home are fallen angels and devils. Both factions, along with angels, have been in a ceasefire for hundreds of years since the end of the Great War, and this ceasefire was much needed too, as there had been too much death, and if it had continued any longer, then all three races would have ceased to exist. Of course, there had been a few skirmishes here and there, but they were quickly dealt with in order to maintain already fragile peace between the three factions. Right now, we find ourselves in one of the barren lands in Underworld, and the sight that greeted us is that of a young boy doing what appeared to shadow fighting. This boy is none other than Naruto Gremory, and right now he is training his body to make it more durable along with practicing hand-to-hand combat at the same time. His upper body was bare, and he was only wearing white pants and a pair of wristbands. He was barefooted too, as he went through a complex sequence of punches and kicks. His chest, biceps, shoulders, and back was decorated with some sort of tribal tattoos. These tattoos has always been there on his body for as long as he can remember. His mother and father told him that they are some sort of birthmarks. Not that he minded them, since they just made him look that much more exotic, and it was something that he inherited from his real father. Yes, Naruto knew that he adopted by Surzex and Graphia, He had known for a long time now, since his parents never wanted him to not know about his real parents, especially his mother, who was the heir of Gremory clan before she died, and passed on that title to him. Naruto knew that they were not his biological parents, but he still loved them like they were, and why shouldn't he? Surzex and Graphia had been awesome parents to him till now. They both loved him more than life itself, and had been the best parents that anyone could ever hope to have. Whenever he was afraid, they were always there for him. Whenever he fell down, they were always there to pick him up. Whenever he felt restless, they were always there to clam him down. He truly cannot ask for better parents, but that does not mean that he will ever forget about his real parents. No, he can never forget them, as he loves them just as much as he loves Graphia and Surzex, and they will live on through him. Back on the topic, other than his tribal markings, Naruto also has a resistance magical seal present on his stomach and a huge gravity seal that spread for around 100 meters in radius, inscribed on the land below him. This is his way of training his body, and extra gravity can never stop his height from growing or have any other adverse effect on his body because of his instant regeneration, which surpassed even that of Phoenix clan. His healing factor is one of the major reasons as to why he can train so much and can take on so much damage without any problem. Though that doesn't mean that he cannot feel fatigue. He can very much feel tired, as his healing factor depends on his magic and on his stamina. This has been proven when he had literally trained to point of passing out many times in past. This barren land is one of the properties owned by Gremory family, and Naruto continuously made use of it to practice his more destructive attacks. Naruto mostly liked to train in quiet and peace as well as alone, as he was doing right now, but he knew that it was practically impossible for him to do so, as Hana always kept an eye on him. When asked why she do that every time he went outside, all she replied was that she is his tool, his maid, and his bodyguard. She cannot possibly let him out of her sight for even a single minute without any kind of protection for him. Despite knowing that he can take care of himself easily, they had this conversation so many times that he had finally given up and let her do whatever she wants to do. And that's exactly what she was doing, keeping an eye on him from a mile away with the help of binoculars, just as he was about to start practicing his magic along with hand-to-hand combat. He heard a loud crash resonating from a few miles away and a huge cloud of smoke that covered area, but it was clearing up soon. Being a curious kid that he was, Naruto quickly began running in the direction of Crash, as Hana also joined him by appearing through a teleportation circle. Glancing at his left, he saw Hana running alongside him and looking at him as if waiting for order. Smirking at her mischievously, Naruto said, "Let's go see what we have at our hands, Hana-chan, and if we are lucky, then we just might get a chance to kick some ass." Looking at her master and smiling softly at his attitude, Hana nodded her head as the duo made their way towards the crash. Few moments ago, Kaguya Otsutsuki was a young princess from the lands of ancestors. She was only 10 years old when her homeland was first attacked and her parents, the king and queen, were killed at the hands of her traitorous uncle, Tenju Otsutsuki. She had somehow been able to escape the clutches of her evil uncle and managed to run away from the kingdom along with her friend/servant, Aina. That had happened 3 years ago, and since then both Kaguya and Aina had been on a run since then. Now at the age of 13, Kaguya had grown a lot since then. She is a pale-skinned girl with mid-back length flowing gray hairs. Her eyes were clear white, and her eyebrows were cut short in order to symbolize her royal status. She also has a budding figure which was hidden by an oversized white kimono that she was wearing. After witnessing the sight of her parents' death, Kaguya swore to take revenge on her uncle. At least that way her parents can finally rest in peace knowing that their killer has been punished. But this task was much harder than she thought. Her uncle had an army at his beck and call, and there was no way that she can ever get close to him so that she can kill him in his sleep. No, as she was like now. It would be next to impossible for her extract revenge, and that's why she committed to perform an act that is seen as taboo among her people. She decided to take the sacred fruit of God tree and use whatever powers it can grant her to avenge her family. But once again, this task too was easier said than done, and somehow along the way her uncle caught the wind of what she was planning to do, send his soldiers to either capture her or kill her before she can commit such atrocious act. Aina and Kaguya had been avoiding her uncle's soldiers for nearly 3 years, but just as they finally found God Tree, They were sighted by Tenjo's small army, which was being led by Tenjo himself. Telling Kagaya to quickly consume the fruit, Aina jumped in front Tenjo's army to buy as much time as she could, but was quickly cut down Tenjo himself, who was trying to reach Kagaya before she could eat the fruit. But fortunately, or unfortunately, depends on point of view, he was too late, as Kagaya had already eaten the fruit before he could reach her. What happened next was something that none of them could have ever expected, because as soon as she ate the small fruit, Kobiya started convulsing as pain of unimaginable level coursed through her body, and incomprehensible power started to leak out of her body. Her body was being cocooned in some sort of blue energy, which soon exploded outwards, enveloping her uncle, some of his soldiers who were nearby, and of course herself as well. That was the last time we'll ever see her homeland, as the amount of concentrated energy was too much and would have destroyed her whole planet had the god tree not opened a portal and threw her along with those close to her in that portal. It was supposed to be a punishment for the young girl by tree itself, because she had taken its sacred fruit and consumed it. The fruit was sacred for a reason. It has the ability to grant the one who consumed it the power of chakra, and humans are not ready to wield this kind of power yet. That's why the sentient tree, using its power over dimensions, opened a random portal and threw them through it. Now it has no idea where they will end up, or if they will end anywhere at all. There's a high probability that they can end up in Dimensional Gap, but the chances of their survival in that case are less than even zero. Though, they may end up going to a totally different dimension with different species too. Meh. What does it care? They are out of its sight, and that's what matters to the god tree most. Kagaya was still writhing in pain as she laid down in sand. Every part of her body felt like burning in lava, but after a few seconds of convulsing, her pain suddenly stopped, as if whatever it was that was changing in her body has completed its process. As pain left her body, she started to feel extremely sluggish, tired, and weak. As she tried to stand up, her own body refused to follow its owner's command, and all she was able to do was move her head around to see DxD, where there was she. As far as her eyes could see, all she saw was barren wasteland, sand, and lastly her uncle, who was getting up along with some of his soldiers, shaking his head to get drowsiness out from it. Tenjo looked around and saw that there was nothing here that he can recognize. He knew that he was at the base of Shinju Tree and had finally caught up to that bitch Kagaya, but he was too late, as she had already consumed the fruit. Speaking of Kagaya, where the hell is that bitch? He will gut her for sure this time. Glancing around him, Tenjo's eyes finally met his niece's wide, white eyes as she tried to move, but was unable to do so for whatever reason. Looking at Kagaya closely, he snarled in anger as he saw what appeared to be small brown horns now growing out of her head, giving her a rabbit look because of her white skin and small eyebrows. Stomping towards Kagaya, Tenjo angrily took hold of her horns as he dragged her a few meters by her horns, causing the young girl to scream in pain and discomfort. Finally releasing her after a few moments, Tenjo spat at his feet and spoke in an angry voice. "You little bitch, look at what you have done. I don't even know where we are now, and it's all your fault. I should have killed you when I had the chance. But don't worry, I'm going to remedy that mistake of mine right now." Looking towards two of his soldiers, Tenjo ordered them, "You two grab her hands and put her on her knees. I'm going to enjoy slicing those abominable horns of hers, and then I'm going to torture her for a long, long time, and then I will kill her, but that won't happen till I get satisfied." Looking at each other in discomfort, both soldiers hesitated at the prospect of torturing a kid, but one glare from their king had them moving towards Kagaya and setting her on her knees, as they were ordered to do so. Kagaya tried her best to struggle against them, but it was all for naught because her body was still too weak. Finally accepting her fate, she hung her head down as her uncle prepared to cut off her newly acquired horns. Chuckling in glee, Tenjo brought his sword down in order to separate those filthy horns from its owner's head. Just as his sword was about to make contact with Kagaya's horns, something slammed into him with such power that he flew away nearly 10 foot away from his original position, before finally hitting the ground and coughing up a good amount of blood. Same thing happened to the two holding Kagaya down, as they never even saw what it was that hit them before they too flew away from the impact. But in this case, they both died instantly as their ribs punctured their lungs and hearts. Feeling the grip on her shoulders vanishing, Kagaya looked up, and the sight that greeted her will always remain in her head as the moment when she met her savior. her most precious person and her master. Standing in front of her with his hands in his pockets was none other than Naruto Gremory, his back glistening with sweat from his training as he gave Kagaya a side glance and tried to give what he thought as a cool guy pose and said, Now, that is no way to treat a lady, and especially not someone so pretty." To say everyone was shocked would be an understatement. Everyone was just too dumbfounded to even form a sentence. They were minding their own business, killing a little girl, and this weird guy came out of nowhere and started speaking nonsense. Before anyone could get their bearing enough to talk, they all heard clapping sound coming from their right side. Looking in that direction, all the alive and conscious men blushed hard because standing in front of them was someone who can easily be defied as one of the most beautiful women they have ever laid their eyes on. This woman was none other than Hannah Lucifuge, and she was clapping because of the cool entry her master just made. Smirking at Hannah's direction, Naruto gave her a thumbs up and asked, "How was it, Hannah-chan? Was the entry cool enough for you?" Nodding her head rapidly, Hannah replied, "Yes, master. That was absolutely fantastic as everything you do, but I think that there is something wrong here. These men are all humans, and that girl seems to possess some variation of chakra that some yokai use. Now that you mentioned it, this girl does seem to possess some sort of weird mutation of chakra," Naruto said as he stared at Kagaya intensely, who was still shocked and was not able to say anything. "You are right, master. Though what should we do with these humans? They are trespassing on your property, and what is weird is that they are here in the first place. No human should be able to come here in Underworld without any help from inside," Hannah asked as she narrowed her eyes towards the men who have now stopped leering at her after hearing that they are in Underworld. Kill them if you want, Hannah-chan. They are of no importance to us," Naruto ordered as he still kept on staring at Kagaya as if he was looking right through her and was gazing directly at her soul. In actuality, he was looking through her memories in order to determine if she is a threat or not. That was the reason why he ordered Hannah to kill these men, because he already knew now who they are and how they ended up here. It was also one of his powers that he inherited from his real father. Naruto can look through anyone's memories and read their emotions like an open book just by looking in their eyes. While yes, this may seem as violation of privacy to some, but he just simply don't care. This was one of the main reasons why it was nearly impossible to betray him without him knowing first. This ability of his has been kept a well-guarded secret. The only ones who have any sort of knowledge about it were his family members and of course his dear Hannah-chan. In fact, Surzex has taken advantage of this ability to weed out some spies among their ranks, discreetly of course. Hannah nodded at her master's order and hence began the massacre. These men never stood a chance against someone like Hannah, and before they knew, most of them were either frozen solid and died of hypothermia, or had their throats slit. After finishing off the last soldier, Hannah moved towards Tenjo, who had just now started regaining consciousness. But before she could kill the man, she was stopped by a loud shout coming from the former princess. "Wait, don't kill him, please. Only I can kill him. His life is mine. Please, he killed my parents, so let me kill him, please," Kagaya yelled as she tried to stand, all the while ignoring the carnage caused by a seemingly harmless woman before him. Looking towards Naruto, she pleaded once more as she knew that he is that woman's master, and only he can help her in getting her revenge now. "Please help me." Naruto stared at her for a few more seconds before he ordered a Hannah to bound Tenjo so that Kagaya can finish him off. Looking back towards her, Naruto offered her his hand, which she quickly accepted with a quick thank you, as he pulled her to her feet. Motioning his towards the now bound and conscious Tenjo, Naruto told Kagaya to go ahead, do whatever she wanted to do with the bastard. Seeing the one responsible for her parents' death laying down on the ground, bound and beaten, gave Kagaya the much-needed strength to stand on her own legs and move towards her uncle, all the while subconsciously summoning a white bone in the shape of a knife from her palm. Looking at the pathetic sight of her uncle down on the ground, bleeding and muttering apologies to her, and asking for mercy, just gave her more satisfaction in what she was about to do. He never showed her parents any mercy, so she will give him the same treatment. Kneeling in front of Tenjo's face, Kagaya raised both of her hands up and in a swift motion brought them down, stabbing the man responsible for her parents' death in the head. Immediately after being stabbed, Tenjo's body started desiccating and soon turned to ash, shocking all Naruto, Hannah, and even Kagaya herself. But before anything could be said about it, Kagaya slumped back unconscious as the stress of past 3 years finally caught up to her. Humming in interest, Naruto stared at Kagaya some more as he thought about how that bone of hers had eerily similar effect as his power of destruction. But that was just the first impression, seeing as how the power of destruction can only be as strong as its wielder. Shaking his head a bit, Naruto chuckled as he thought about how things are going to get more interesting now that this new girl has arrived in their lives. Turning around, Naruto ordered Hana to pick Kagaya up and carry her back to their home. They have a lot to discuss with his father. Underworld can only be described as a huge world inhabited by various races such as devils and fallen angels. There are other races in this world too, but these two are the most prominent races. The fallen angels are led by their governor, known as Azazel, a seraph-level fallen angel, whereas the leaders of devils are known as Yondai Mao, or the four great Satans. These four devils are Falbium Asmodeus, formerly known as Falbium Glaciolabilis. He is also the in charge of Devil's military affairs. Second person is Seraphal Leviathan, formerly known as Seraphal Citri. She is also the in charge of Devil's foreign affairs. Third is Ajuka Beelzebub, formerly known as Ajuka Astaroth. He is the in charge of Devil's technology department. The last and fourth Satan is none other than Surzex Lucifer, formerly known as Surzex Gremory. He is the in charge of Devil's domestic affairs. Currently, we find ourselves in Tish lair of one of these four great Satans, Ajuka Beelzebub. It's been 3 days since Kagaya arrived in this world, and she is yet to regain consciousness. So, instead of waiting for her to wake up first, Surzex had decided that it's time for Naruto to get his own evil pieces. His son has made him so proud during these last few years. Not saying that he was not proud of his son before. He always was and always will be proud of Naruto, but in these past few years, his son had proved again and again that he will become one of the strongest beings to ever exist in LL of the history of this world. Naruto was already at the level where his raw power exceeds even his during the time Civil War, and he is slowly but surely gaining control of his powers. Well, it's a given since he is Raisin's biological son, and nearly every day they learn something new about his powers, since from what he can see, Naruto has inherited most, if not all, of the abilities of Raisin. Added to that, his unnatural prowess with power of destruction has already made him much stronger than his peers. Heck, you can bet that Naruto is already stronger than most of fully grown middle-class devils. The only thing that he is lacking in is experience, and with time he'll gain that too. Now, having decided that Naruto is ready for own set of evil pieces, Surzex brought him to his best friend and the only other devil who can go toe-to-toe with him in a fight, Ajuka Beelzebub. Ajuka is a handsome young man with light blue eyes and green hair that is slicked back. He has a mysterious aura around him which he claims makes him seem devilish. Currently, Ajuka was asking Naruto some questions and was typing something in his computer as he got his answers. Finally, having asked his final question, he got up from his seat and stood in front of a big machine which was shaking and making weird noises. After waiting for a few more seconds, the machine spit out a box containing what looked like a completely white set of chess pieces. Moving towards the young devil, Ajuka said, "Come, Naruto. Now it's time to add the last ingredient in order to complete the formation of your evil piece. Now, please hide me your hand." Nodding towards a man in front of him, Naruto also got up from his chair and said while doing as he was told to do, "Okay, uncle." Taking out a small needle from his pocket, Ajuka pricked Naruto's finger and told him to drop his blood at the box holding his evil pieces set. Doing as he was told, Naruto dropped a few drops of blood on the box and watched in awe as the box started glowing dark red. Soon the glow became too much for the three devils to see, and they had to cover their eyes from the light. As the light died down, all three of them looked back towards the pieces with varying expressions on their faces. Sitting down on the table in front of them was a set of dark red chess pieces, but they were not any ordinary chess set. No, they were emitting too much power to be considered simple pieces of chess. Looking up towards his friend, Surzex asked, "Ajuka, is that normal? Because from what I can remember when I gained my own pieces, nothing like this happened. Is this new phenomena or something?" Shaking his head quickly, Ajuka slapped away Naruto's hand, who was trying to reach for his pieces, and said, "No, this is not normal. The power output from these pieces is nearly on par with that of a normal devil's mutation piece. But that's not all. It seems that his queen piece along with one knight and all of his pawns are mutated pieces, which means that according to this particular set's power stats, they are much more powerful than a normal mutation piece. This is very interesting. I didn't even knew that evil pieces could do that. But then again, even though I am the one to create them, there are still too much mysteries about evil's pieces that even I am not aware of." Listening intently to what his uncle was saying made Naruto giddy. If his pieces are so strong, then he can turn anyone he wants at bare minimum cost. Finally reigning in his excitement, the young devil asked, "Does this has anything to do with my biological father, Uncle Ajuka?" Humming in thought, Ajuka replied, "It is very much possible. Raisin-sama was an exceptionally powerful entity. No one other than Trihexa, Ophis, or Great Red could have ever hoped to stand against him. And as we all know that you have inherited his powers from what little Surzex has told me, so yes, it is very much possible that this is the result of Raisin's blood flowing through your veins. Though I won't think too much about it now, Naruto. You just got your own evil set. So you focus of collecting your peerage members and leave the thinking part to older people like us. Okay?" Smiling at his uncle's response, Naruto quickly nodded his head as Surzex playfully trapped his son in an arm lock and ruffled his hairs. "Come on, Naruto. This calls for a party. Let's go home, and we can have your mother prepare something delicious as a treat for job well done for us. Let go, old man. Let go, or I will kick your ass." Naruto yelled back as he struggled to get out of his father's grip, who was still giving him a noogie all while laughing up a storm. Chuckling good-naturedly at the father-son duo, Ajuka shooed them, telling them to bother someone else as he has some research to do now. So, waving goodbye to his best friend, Surzex picked up Naruto's evil set from the table and made to exit the laboratory, with Naruto still struggling to get his head out of his grip. Few hours later, it took the father-son duo a few hours to reach their home, opting to walk back at a leisure pace instead of teleporting or using some kind of transportation device. As soon as they arrived at their estate, Naruto made a straight beeline towards his room where he knew Hana was waiting for him to return with his evil pieces. He had promised her that she will be the first person to join his peerage, and Naruto Gremory never breaks any promise that he makes. Well, except for the ones which does not profit him in any manner. What can he say? He is a selfish little devil. Opening the door of his room, Naruto saw Hana in room, folding his scattered clothes and tidying up the room. Moving towards his personal mate, he said, "Hana-chan, leave that for later and come here for a sec. It's time to make good on our promise." Looking up at her master, Hana quickly put the shirt that she was folding down on the bed and moved towards Naruto with a wide smile on her face. Their relationship is an odd one. It's like sometimes it's a master/maid relationship. Sometimes Hana takes a role of his elder sister, and sometimes she acts like his best friend in the whole world. Truth to be told, Naruto have had a little crush on her for a while now, and that is one of the major reasons behind him wanting to make her a member of his peerage as soon as he can. Even if she is older than him, he does not want to lose her to anyone else like mentioned before. He is a selfish guy, and he don't like to share what he views as his own, and in his eyes, Hana is his and his alone. Reaching her master, Hana said with a million-watt smile on her face along with a short bow, "I am ready, master. Please allow me the dignity to be your shield, your tool, and be by your side forever." Like I said, weird relationship. Smiling at the response that he got, Naruto took out evil pieces from his personal dimension, where they were stored, and picked up the queen piece from the set. But before he could carry on with the procedure, he was stopped by Hana, who had grabbed a hold of his hand and was shaking her head in a negative manner. Not getting as to why she was shaking her head negatively, Naruto asked, "What's wrong, Hana-chan? Don't you want to be a member of my peerage?" Eyes widening in horror at the wrong signal she was sending her master, albeit unintentionally, Hana quickly spoke to rectify her mistake. In her eyes, while clutching his hand even more tightly than before, master, please don't think for even a single second that I don't want to be your peerage member. I belong to you, master. It's just that I don't think the queen piece is suitable for me, master. I am your tool to use as you see fit. I just don't think that I can handle the role of being a leader if the situation requires it. Please, master, allow me to be your pawn. That way I could be anything that you want me to be." Listening to Hana's explanation, Naruto nodded as he placed his queen piece back in the set, and then took out his pawn pieces. Though before she could lie down, he thought it was important to let her know one thing. So taking a hold of her shoulders, he said, "You may think of yourself as a tool, Hana-chan, but know that in my eyes you are, and always will be a queen. My queen." Whipping the tears that threatened to fall from her eyes, Hana quickly nodded and laid down on Naruto's bed so that the reincarnation ritual can begin. And that's how Naruto gained his first peerage member, his first pawn. The very same pawn will one day become one of the strongest pawn in existence. Next, Kagaya Otsutsuki, the former princess of Land of Ancestors, slowly came back to the land consciousness as she opened her bleary white eyes and squinted them in order to adjust to the light that greeted them immediately. Finally having them adjusted to the light, she looked around and noted that she is currently in what appeared to a large room with white walls, and sitting on a chair near her bed was a young brunette, humming softly a tune that she cannot recognize. Parting her dry lips, Kagaya tried to ask where she was, but the only sound that she made was that of a gasp. Though not what she intended to say, the noise nonetheless did its work and got the brunette's attention, who quickly stood up and spoke with a smile on her face. "Ah, you are finally awake. I have to inform Naruto-sama and Surzek-sama of this immediately. Just rest here for a bit, and I will soon return with them along with some water for you to drink." With that, she quickly left, leaving behind a very confused Kagaya, who was trying to remember just what happened when she was last awake. Focusing on memories prior to her falling unconscious, Kagaya started remembering everything that happened which led to her current situation. She remembered running away from her uncle and his army. She remembered the death of her last friend. She remembered how, after consuming the forbidden fruit, she, along with her uncle and some of his soldiers, got transported to this weird world. She remembered being humiliated by her uncle, the very same man she swore to kill. She remembered how she was on the verge of death when he appeared along with a girl who looked like his servant from their interaction. And finally, she remembered how, with that mysterious boy's help, she was able to fulfill her goal. She had done it. She had extracted revenge against her tyrant of an uncle. Now her parents can finally rest in peace, knowing that their murderer has been brought to justice. And all of this became possible because of one person. That red-haired boy with strange tattoos. Before she could further her thoughts, she was interrupted by a young voice, who she had apparently missed entering the room. Looking up, she saw the same red-haired boy who had helped her earlier was now staring at her intently, as if expecting some kind of answer from her. Confused as to what he was saying, and still looking in those slitted yellow eyes, all she could say while tilting her head a bit was, "Huh, whoa, cute," Naruto exclaimed as he took a step back while clutching his chest as if struck by the cuteness of this rabbit-like girl in front of him. This reaction of Naruto's caused Kagaya's cheeks to redden as she blushed hard and quickly averted her eyes to the side. Though before anything else could be said between the two, their attention was drawn towards the door, from where the chuckling sound of a male was coming. Turning towards the door in unison, they saw 3 figures standing at the entrance of this room. One of them was clearly a male, and he was the one who was chuckling at the scene before them. This figure was none other than Surzek's Lucifer. The second figure was clearly a female with a voluptuous figure and gray-silver hair. This was none other than Graphia Lucifuge, mother of one Naruto Gremory and queen of Surzek's Lucifer. She was looking at 2 kids with amusement in her eyes, with one hand on lips, trying to stop her giggles from coming out, while her other hand was holding her currently swollen belly, clearly indicating that she is pregnant. It was the last figure which caused Kagaya to raise an eyebrow, because this figure, despite being a young girl nearly 2 or 3 years younger than, was actually glaring at her. She don't know the reason behind that glare, but it was quite clear that this young girl clearly holds some kind of disliking for her. Though that glare was really ineffective, as it just made her look like a tomato with her red hair and puffed up cheeks. This last person was none other than Rias Gremory, younger sister of Surzek's Lucifer, second child of current head of Gremory family, and the only girl who Naruto should be calling cute, in her mind. Well, it seems like son takes after his father after all. And Naruto? Just look at you causing a young girl to blush like that. I am so proud of you, my boy. Come here and give daddy a hug, my boy, Surzek said as he spread his arms out with manly tears flowing from his eyes and moving forward to embrace his son, in order to show just how proud he is as a father. Though before he could even 2 steps, he was pulled back by a frustrated Graphia, who pulling at his cheek. Her irritation towards her husband was shown clearly by her twitching eye. Don't create a scene in front of guest Surzek-sama. Please try to act like your stature for once, Graphia said as she started pulling at her husband's cheek even more painfully. Sai Glaytan, Plamif il vive, pli flet vo. Surzek pleaded as tried with all his might to somehow get free from his wife's pinching. Heaving a sigh, Grafia finally let go of his cheek, leaving behind a red-cheeked Surzex who was trying to cradle his cheek while sitting in a corner with rain clouds above his head. Sighing again at her husband's antics, she moved towards a laughing Naruto and a dumbly looking Kaguya. Seriously, for the current most powerful devil. Her husband can be such a kid sometimes. Looking towards Kaguya, she said, "Hello, young lady. My name is Grafia Lucifuge. I am Naruto's mother and that red-haired man's wife. Who might you be?" Nervously looking at the beautiful, yet imposing woman, Kaguya replied in a soft voice, "And my name is Kaguya Oitsutsuki, Lucifuge-sama. I came from Land of Ancestors, though I am not sure how I got here, or where this place is really." Looking at the young girl in front of her, Grafia said, "I see. Naruto told me how he came across you when you were about to be killed. Care to share how you got in that predicament of yours?" Looking at Grafia nervously, Kaguya tried to come up with a response that may help her in answering the asked question and also not reveal too much about herself, seeing as she is in an unknown territory right now. Seeing the nervousness in her eyes, Naruto stepped forward and down on her bed beside her before gently saying, "Hey, it's all right. No one is going to pressure you into doing anything that you don't want to do. I know what happened to you, and I can understand if you are not ready to share it with other people for now. Just know that I am here to help you in any way that you need." Looking at Naruto, she asked, "How do you know what happened to me?" This question made everyone in the room tense. It was a very well-kept secret that Naruto has the power to look at anyone's memories with just a single glance. The power to be able to see and understand anyone's memories with just a single glance is very dangerous, especially in a treacherous world like the one they are living in. To be able to identify any spy or negative intent of a person is truly a terrifying gift, one that can easily paint a giant target behind Naruto's back. So, seeing as a girl who is pretty much an unknown to them is asking a question regarding such a sensitive topic made them at unease. Even Surzex was now standing up with a serious look on his face. Looking at the serious expression on two adults' faces and feeling the tension in the air made Kaguya very nervous. It seems like she has asked something that she shouldn't have. Before anyone could say anything, Naruto looked towards his parents and shook his head negatively before turning towards Kaguya and said, "You see, Kaguya, the answer to your question is something of a secret that only a handful of people knows. But seeing as I have seen what you have been through and how you came to this world, I know now for sure that you are not a threat to us, and you will not use this information to cause any harm to my precious people. Every relationship, be it friendship, is based on trust, and I want to be your friend. I am placing a huge amount of trust in you, Kaguya, and all I ask is that you do the same in return. Is that all right with you?" Kaguya stared wide-eyed at the boy sitting in front of her. She had known him for only a few minutes, and he is already placing so much faith in her. First he saved her, then he helped her in achieving her goal, and now he wants to be her friend by trusting her with his secret. At that very same moment, she vowed that whatever may happen and whatever his powers may be, she will not break his trust. She was all alone and going to die when he appeared like a light in her darkness and saved her from her demise. She will do everything in her power to prove herself worthy of his trust. With a determined look in her eyes, Kaguya gave a nod which gained a small smile from Naruto, who then began explaining, "You see, Kaguya, I have a special power that allows me to not only see any person's memories who made an eye contact with me, but I can also learn from those memories. Meaning that I can not only find out any spy within our ranks with just a glance, but I can also learn anyone's techniques as long as they are not genetically related techniques like Phoenix Clan's fire abilities. That's how I was able to see your past and knew that you were in the right. That's also the reason as to why I decided to help you in killing that bastard. I was able to see some of the things that he did in his lifetime when I made eye contact with him, and I have to say that even some of devils will cringe at the crimes that he committed." Kaguya was silent during the whole explanation and was trying to come to terms with what was being told to her. Needless to say, these people are far from normal if they have powers like these. Her thoughts were proven correct at the end of Naruto's statement, and her eyes became wide while her mouth became a perfect semblance of a gaping fish. Shaking her head a bit, she asked, "The devils? As in the soul-eating devils?" Giving her a deadpan stare, Naruto said, in the whole explanation regarding an awesome power and how I saw memories, all you were able to pick up was the devil line? Seriously? Giving him a nervous look, Kaguya said, "It's not that I didn't listen to what you just said. I heard everything, and I simply do not care about what kind of powers you have or that you saw my memories. I would have told you about my past anyway, because you helped me in achieving my goal, and for that I will always be in your debt. But the main question is, if you all are devils, then that also means that this is hell, and that means that I am dead. And if I am dead, then that means that when we came here, my uncle was also dead, and what I killed was merely a ghost or a spirit. Though even if that was just a spirit that I killed, it still is better than nothing else. But that begs the question as to why I am in hell. I have never committed a sin. At least I don't think that I have. Her rant was cut off by an amused-looking Naruto who had placed a finger at her lips in order to silence, and sitting very close to her. So close that their faces were only a few inches apart, eliciting a huge blush from her due to the closeness. She has never been this close to a boy before, and certainly not someone as good-looking as Naruto. Stuttering from the closeness between the two, she asked, what are you doing? Well, you were sort of ranting there, so I had to stop you before you could hurt that pretty head of yours. Now will you be quiet and listen to what I have to say? I will explain everything to you, if you can keep quiet for a while. Okay? Nodding her head softly, Kaguya looked to her left side and saw two amused-looking adults and a still glaring Rias. Not knowing who these two people other than Naruto and Grafia were, she asked, before that, can you tell me who these two are? I know that this man is your father from what Grafia-sama said, but I still don't know who that little girl is. And why is she glaring at me like that? Sheepishly rubbing the back of his neck, Naruto said, right? My bad, I forgot to introduce you to everyone. You already know my mother, Grafia Lucifuge. That old man standing there is my father, Surzex Lucifer, the current leader of Underworld. That cute red-haired girl looking like an angry squirrel is Rias Gremory. You can call her my little sister if you want to, because calling her my aunt would be just plain embarrassing, seeing as she is younger sister of my father. As for why she is glaring at you, well, it has nothing to do with you doing anything wrong. It's just that she loves to watch anime, and today is the day when we both watch whatever she wants together, and seeing as we are here instead of watching animes has her a bit spooked. It's alright though, I promise we will go back to animes as soon as we are done here, Richon. Just wait for a while, okay? And lastly, me, though you already know who I am, let me introduce myself more formally. My name is Naruto Gremory, current heir of Gremory clan, one of the remaining 72 pillars of Underworld. Looking weirdly at Naruto, Kaguya asked, what is anime? This question gained varying expression from everyone. Naruto and Grafia's sweat dropped at her once again, asking about just one thing despite being told that she is currently in the presence of one of the most powerful devil and one of the most influential household. Does she ask questions regarding these serious topics? No. The only thing that has her confused is what the hell is anime. Weird little girl this Kaguya is. While Naruto and Grafia were shaking their heads at the stupidity of the situation, Surzex was looking worriedly at totally appalled Rias. Before anything could be said between them, Rice jumped in between and said, you don't know what anime is? We will have to rectify such a horrible sin. Come on, come with me and I will show you just what you have been missing since you are new to this. We will start with One Piece, seeing as it is one of the most popular anime in the world. Richon, wait for a few more minutes before you show our new friend here the wonders of being an otaku. I am sure she will like that, but first we have much to discuss before we can let ourselves get distracted, Naruto said, interrupting Rias before she could grab Kaguya and make a run for it. Nodding at his son's words, Surzex stepped forward and said in a totally serious voice, I agree with that too. There's still a lot of things that we don't know about you. If you're going to live in this world, then I have to know as much as I can about you, so that I will be able to better protect you from power-hungry politicians and warmongers who will want that power of yours, which is quite similar to our power of destruction, except for a few dissimilarities from what Naruto told me about it. And from what I can sense about your power level, it is high, very high, nearly as much as Naruto's. So, if you don't mind, we would like to hear just how you came to this world and how is it that you can use powers like the one that you have demonstrated. Kaguya looked down and contemplated her options. Should she tell them about her life? Naruto does know about her past, but it seems like he cared enough about her privacy to not talk about it with anyone else. And from what she was able to gather, these people are devils and she's in hell, though it sure as hell don't look like one. Could she really trust devils with the truth behind the origin of her newfound power? But if she were to refuse telling them about it, then they may turn against, and she, DxD, cannot raise her hand against someone who has helped her so much. Not that she could fight them anyway. She does not have enough grasp on her powers to even escape from here if they were to attack her. But more than anything else, she just cannot bring herself to harm Naruto. And she does not even know why. It was like there was some sort of bond formed between them, even though she just met him. It still feels like he is very important to her. Maybe she is just trying to cling to something or someone to make herself believe that she is not alone, or maybe it's something else. Looking towards Naruto, who was giving her a concerned look, she nodded her head and made her decision to tell about her power's origin. Though she won't tell them about her whole life, but she will still tell them about what had happened to her to a degree. With her decision made, she looked at Surzex and said in a serious tone, "All right, I will tell you about myself. I owe you that much for helping me. All I ask is that you don't talk to anyone else about what I'm going to tell you. Is that acceptable?" Getting a nod from everyone in the room, she started talking about what happened to her and how she came here. As far as she knows, they were thrown in a dimensional rift by the God Tree itself, seeing as it told her that this was her punishment for consuming the forbidden fruit, though its intentions were to throw her and those around her, at that time, into an endless and lifeless dimension, but by a stroke of luck, they were somehow stranded in this world instead. She told them about how her uncle killed her parents, the king and queen, in order to gain control over their lands. How she ran away along with her friend who died when her uncle caught up to them when she was about to eat the fruit. She told them how after eating the fruit, she was paralyzed by the sudden power influx in her body, and how the God Tree threw them in the dimensional rift, and how Naruto found her when she was about to die. So you see, I owe Naruto for not only saving my life, but also for helping me in achieving my goal, and for that I will forever be in your debt. If there is anything that I could do to repay even a small amount of it, then I will do anything in my power to do so. Kaguya finished as she stared into Naruto's eyes with a determined look, shaking his head and smiling softly at her. Naruto said, "There is nothing for you to repay, Kaguya. Like I said, I have seen your memories and I was just doing what was right at that time. But even after that, if you do want to repay me somehow, then all you have to do is grant me with the gift of your friendship. That's all I ask of you." Giving a soft smile of her own with tears brimming in her eyes, Kaguya just nodded her head in agreement. She now knew that she is not alone anymore, and it's all because of the person sitting in front of her. At this very moment, she swore to do everything within her power to make sure that Naruto will never come to any harm, not on her watch at least. She will fight the gods themselves for Naruto, if has to. Smiling at the level of maturity shown by their son, Surzex and Grafia glanced at each other with a proud look in their eyes, while Rias too was smiling at the scene before her, seeing as any friend of Naruto's will be her friend too by default, and she was quite happy to have gained a new friend. Gaining his serious attitude back, Surzex looked towards Kaguya, who was still staring at Naruto with a smile on her face, and said, "That's all nice and good, but we still have much to discuss. Now I know where you are from and how you got here. We can move on to explaining to you about our world so that we can come up with a story to tell the council about your past and how we came in contact with you. So let's start with the history of this world, all right?" Getting a nod in return from the young girl, he continued, "You see, this world is divided into various factions, but the ones that we're going to talk about are devils, angels, and fallen angels. As you already know that we are devils, so that means that our counterparts are known as angels and fallen angels several thousand years ago. God of the biblical faction created a race known as angels. They were beings of purity and light. Among them, 5 angels stood out most because of their prowess in battle. These angels were Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, Raphael, and last but not least Lucifer. After the birth of angels, God then created humans and tasked angels to be their guardians, but not seeing worth in humans. One of the seraphs rebelled against the idea. This angel was none other Lucifer, who was later banished from heaven due to his actions against humans. Lucifer later came to this dimension and created Devil Empire with the help of 3 other devils known as Leviathan, Beelzebub, and Asmodeus. Together they came to be known as the 4 great Satans. During that time period, some of the angels, who gave in to their desires and committed some sins, began to fall from God's grace, and this gave birth to the 3rd faction known as Fallen Angels, though their organization is now called Grigori. This faction was led by another seraph-level angel called Azazel. Azazel, with the help of Shamhizai, Barakwil, and Kokabeel, led their army of fallen angels in a war against both angels and devils. This 3-way war soon came to be known as the Great War. The death toll in this war was so much that all 3 factions had to stop fighting just to avoid their annihilation. And that was how our 3 biblical factions came into existence. Taking a short pause, Surzex gave Kaguya some time to consume all the knowledge that has just been given to her. After seeing that she is ready for more, he continued, "Now let's move towards Devil's history, seeing as you are currently in our territory and from what I can see, are going to be here for a long time. Now, even after the war ended and a sort of ceasefire settled between the 3 factions, some of the families of devils wanted to continue fighting. There were originally 72 major clans of devils, otherwise known as 72 pillars. Some of them extinguished during the war, and some of the remaining ones tried to restart the war. Most prominent among them were the families of 4 original Satans, who had perished in their fight against God. Rebelling against them were those families who wanted to live in peace and never wanted to go on war again. Despite their best efforts, a civil war broke out where those families who wanted war were defeated by the rebels. I myself was one of the leaders of rebellion faction during the Civil War, but after that our numbers were down. So in order to remedy that, my friend Ajuka Beelzebub, another member of Current Four Satans, created a method known as evil pieces. With the help of these evil pieces, we were able to reincarnate other species such as humans and yokais into devils. Though they have to start as low-class devils and then earn their ranks with their own powers in comparison to those who were born in devil families. And that, my dear, is the history of devils. Though there is a lot more, but I think that you can learn about other things with time. Are there any questions? Looking down in deep thought, Kaguya pondered on everything that has just been told to her. Apparently, this world is totally different from her own. These people are not ordinary people like hers were. Not at all. Though the same could be said about her now, seeing as she too have gained some powers after eating forbidden fruit. After hearing all that, there was one thing that clicked in her head more than others, and it was the mention of evil pieces. So, making up her mind, she asked, "Can you tell me more about these evil pieces and how they are used?" Nodding his head with a smile, all the while thinking that this is going in the same direction he wanted this conversation to go. If everything went according to his plan, then they will gain a powerful potential ally, and his son will gain another piece for his set. So with that thought, he said, "Of course, dear. You see, Ajuka created evil pieces on the basis of chess pieces. If you don't know what chess is, then you will be told about it at a later time. With the help of evil pieces, we can bound a reincarnated devil to a high-class devil using one or more pieces. Now, some families may see reincarnated pieces as mere servants, but we of Gremory clan take pride in treating our peerages as our families. In fact, if you really want to repay Naruto, then you can do it by becoming a part of his peerage. This way your life will become as long as that of a devil, and you can be close to your new friend." Hearing this suggestion caused Naruto to frown at his father's way of manipulating Kaguya to join their side. He really did not like the way Surzex just basically told Kaguya to join his son's peerage in order to pay her debt, which was non-existent in his mind. Though before he could say anything, he was interrupted by Kaguya, who for the first had shown some kind of initiative and had taken a hold of his hand and said, "That sounds good to me. If I will be able to be with Naruto-sama, then I don't mind becoming a devil. At least this way I will not be alone anymore, so can I be a part of your peerage too, Naruto-sama?" Frowning a bit, Naruto replied, "You know, you don't have to answer it right now. You can take your time and think about it, seeing as it is a huge decision to take. And don't be so formal. You can call me Naruto." Shaking her head a bit, she said, "No, there is nothing to think about. I don't have anyone anymore. You are the only one other than Aina who has ever called me a friend. I really want to be a part of your peerage. I can learn about everything else later. Also, I cannot stop calling you Naruto-sama, seeing as you deserve every ounce of respect that I can give you. So, please make me a part of your peerage. I don't want to be alone anymore." Shaking his head with another frown, Naruto said, "You will never be alone anymore, Kaguya-chan. You have me now, and you also have Ri-chan, and this whole family. We will be your friends from now on. I swear to you that you will no longer be alone anymore. But if you really want to be a part of my peerage, then it's all right. I will make you a part of our family now." With that, Naruto took out his evil pieces set, gaining a small glare from Rias, who wanted her own set this year, but her mother and father said she is not ready yet for that kind of responsibility. She wanted to argue against that, but a look from her mother rendered all argue nil in a moment. Before Naruto could take out a piece, his mother interrupted him. "Naruto-chan, I think that you should use your queen piece. From what I can sense, Kaguya-san has great amount of power within her, and I don't think that she could be revived by any other piece. If mastered properly, her power will surely complement Queen Piece perfectly. She also seems level-headed and someone who can keep others in line if needed to be, so you should use your Queen Piece, Naruto-chan." Giving a nod to his mother, he said, "I was going to do just that, Mom. It is only fitting that a princess become a queen after all. Now, why don't you lay down on your bed so that I can finally make you my queen, Kaguya-chan?" Blushing at the statement, Kaguya did as she was asked to do and laid down on her bed. Looking up, she watched as Naruto placed a dark red queen piece on her chest and started chanting, "I, Naruto of Gremory clan, command you, Kaguya Otsutsuki, to rise up and be reborn as a member of my family. Rise up as my queen." A bright light enveloped the whole room as the queen piece was soon absorbed within her body. She could easily feel a warm sensation flowing through her body, every fiber of her being vibrated with power. She had never felt this good before. Soon the light died down and revealed Kaguya looking same as before with the exception of a pair of bat-like wings coming out of her wing bones. Finally opening her eyes, she saw Naruto standing beside her bed with a smile on his face as he said, "Welcome to the family, my queen." Smiling back, she replied, "Thank you for accepting me, my king." Last 2 years have been quite action-packed and remarkable for one Naruto Gremory. Now at the age of 12 years old, he stands at the impressive height of 5 feet and 3 inches. His red hair has grown a bit, and his yellow eyes has gained a bit of golden tint to them. His tough training regime has gifted him with a body that number 12 years old should have. He now has compact muscles suitable for speed and strength along with durability. Though physical strength was not the only thing he trained himself in, he has also been training his magical powers a lot too. He has already mastered his lightning and wind magics to such a degree where only a few high-class devils can ever hope to challenge him using these elements. His control over power of destruction has also shot up to a level where he can easily shape his attacks in any way that he wants. He has also created a few spells of his own using his power of destruction. Naruto has also learned a bit about the powers he inherited from his biological father. One of the abilities that he can use now is the ability to shape his energy into anything that he wants, be it an animal or a weapon. Most shocking thing about this power is that the animals created by his energy seem to act like living beings. They even follow his every command. It's like they were sentient beings who are programmed to follow his every order. Another power he found out was the ability to teleport. Normal devils can use teleportation too, but his version of teleportation is vastly different from them, where the teleportation technique used by normal devils cannot be used in a fight. Naruto's version of teleportation magic varies from it and can be used in a battle with enough practice and experience. Another difference is that his version does not require the usage of magic circle, and the only indication of this technique being used is a flash of red energy left behind by the user. The third ability that he found out about is the ability to use illusions. Now, illusion magic is usually not something much feared by nearly anyone nowadays because pretty much everyone has a way or two to break out from them, and the practitioners of illusion magic are very rare to come across. But Naruto's brand of illusion magic is vastly different from normal illusion magics. Normally, illusion magic just causes a person to see things which are not real. The main damage caused by this type of magic is usually a mental one. But Naruto's illusions are different in that department. He can not only cause mental damage, but physical damage too, and his illusions cannot be broken by any normal methods. The last power he found out is his immunity to all 5 basic elements. This means that any elemental attack, be it fire, wind, earth, lightning, or water, can never harm him. Surzex once remarked that maybe his immunity towards 5 basic elements came from his ability to use them as well. This particular power, along with the ability to collect energy from the universe itself, was what made Raisin a force to be reckoned with, and now it seems that Naruto is capable of using these powers too. Even after learning all this, he still thinks that these powers are just the tip of the iceberg. There is a lot more to his powers than what he currently knows, and with time, he is sure that he will be able to not only master his powers, but also surpass the 2 people he idolizes more than anything else. Now, Naruto wasn't the only one who has been training so hard for the last 2 years. His queen Kaguya and pawn Hana have also been training rigorously. Hana and Grafia have been helping Kaguya in figuring out her new powers and learning how to control them. So far, they were able to figure out some very interesting things. Things that can make Kaguya very powerful and very deadly in future. They have also been teaching her about devil community and what to expect now that she is a part of Naruto's peerage. Her duties as a queen were explicitly explained to her, and so far she has been showing signs of a good queen in making. Hana herself has been training a lot with some help from Grafia and Beowulf. Grafia has been helping her in honing her ice magic and barrier magic, whereas Beowulf, being one of the strongest pawn in existence, has been a great teacher for her so far. Though training was not the only thing that they did. For starters, Rias had one day brought home a half-fallen angel by the name of Akino Himejima after saving her from imminent death with the help of Surzex Bishop McGregor. Akino also became first member of Rias' peerage as her queen. But more important than any of that was the birth of his younger brother Milikas. All the extra training that he has been doing for the last 2 years was done for the sole purpose of becoming the best big brother that he can be for little Milikas Grafia and Surzex couldn't be more proud of their son when they heard his reason behind pushing himself so hard during the training. Another noteworthy thing that happened was the integration of 3 Nekashis in their family. It all happened 3 months ago when one day Naruto, along with Kagaya and Hana, were roaming around the shopping district of Lilith. XXXX flashback XXXX. Naruto was walking around in the market of Lilith with Kagaya and Hana on his either sides, looking for some sort restaurant so that they can eat after a long and hard session of training that they just went through in his personal training ground, which left them exhausted and quite famished. Looking towards still slightly winded Kagaya, he asked, "You alright, Bunny-chan?" Shaking his head in amusement, Naruto said, "No can do, Bunny-chan. You are just so cute like a bunny, and besides only I can call you that. You are after all my Bunny-chan, aren't you?" Blushing a bit at his answer, Kagaya said, "Well, when you put it like that, it does sound a bit endearing. Alright, I will allow you to call me that, but please refrain yourself from using that word in public, and from what I can see, we are currently in a populated or Naruto-sama." Giving her a mischievous grin, Naruto turned towards Hana, who was looking at their interaction with a small smile on her face. Looking at her beautiful smiling face, Naruto couldn't help but give a smile of his own as he took a hold of both girls' respective hands. The 3 of them were so distracted that they totally managed to forget about their surroundings, though they became aware of it when someone rammed into Naruto at high speed, causing both of them to lose their balance. Naruto was fortunate enough to have Hana and Kagaya by his side as they managed to stop his fall. His assailant wasn't that lucky though, and they fell down on there, but hard. Regaining his bearings, Naruto looked down to see just who was it that slammed into him. Whatever he was going to say died in his throat as he saw the girl in front of him. She was easily one of the most beautiful girls he has ever laid his eyes on. She has dark purple hair and yellow slitted eyes, both complementing her mocha-colored skin, giving her an exotic look. She appeared to a year or 2 older than Kagaya, with a body that could make even mature women jealous. Despite all of this, her most distinctive features were a pair of cat-like ears on her head and a single cat-like tail coming out of her back. Her attire consisted of torn brown pants, a gray t-shirt which also had some holes in it, and on top of that she was barefooted. It was quite clear that she isn't living a life of luxury. Giving her a slightly worried look, Naruto offered her his hand and asked, "Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to my surroundings here. Let me help you." Staring at the 3 people in front of her, the cat girl gave a frown as she tried to access their threat level and tried to discern if they have any ulterior motive or not. Generally, people either ignore her or some idiots try to capture her and her siblings like they were some sort of pet for them to tame. These kind of people quickly learned that she is not someone to be trifled with. Staring intensely towards the direction in which she ran, Naruto frowned slightly before looking towards Hana and asked, "That was a Nakomata, right, Hana-chan?" Giving a frown of her own at the girl's bad manners, she replied, "No, master, I think not." Even though she looked like a Nakomata, her yukai was way more dense and different than a normal Nakomata. If I have to make a guess, then I will say that she is a Nekashu. Looking at her with a surprised face, Kagaya interjected, "Nekashu? But you told me that Nekashus are nearly extinct." Giving a nod in reply, Hana said, "That's correct, but it seems that there are still some left alive. Though that begs a question as to why she was dressed like this. Being a Nekashu could have easily gotten her in any devil's good grace, seeing as a fully mature Nekashu is several times stronger than a mature Nakomata. So why was she dressed like that?" Giving a hum in thought, Naruto said, "It seems like that devils nowadays are becoming more and more ignorant. Tell me, Hana-chan, can she make a good candidate for our little family?" Looking at her master and already understanding where he was going with this, she replied, "Strategically speaking, master, yes, she is a Nekashu, and when fully matured, they can gain an extra tail, which increases their power by 10-fold. Nekashus were also very famous for their use of Senjutsu. It is quite similar to one of your techniques, where they can collect energy from nature and use it in a fight. This once made them very hard to face in a battle, but it also has a downside to it. Unlike you, master, who has nearly perfect control over his energy and can gather nature energy without any side effect, Nekashus are not able to filter that energy. While gathering nature's energy, they also gather negativity in it, which was the main reason behind Senjutsu being a forbidden technique. But even without Senjutsu, Nekashus can easily become a force to be reckoned with under proper guidance." Giving another hum, Naruto said, I see, so it will be in my favor to have someone like her in my peerage. I was not able to properly look in her eyes, so I don't know yet just what her circumstances are, but I was able to get a lock on her energy. So now we will track her down and see if we can make her understand that coming with us will be favorable for her. With that, Naruto sprinted in the same direction where the aforementioned Nekashu ran into as Hana and Kagaya quietly followed their master. A few years ago, if someone had said something like this in front of her, then Kagaya would have protested wholeheartedly. But now, after living with Naruto for 2 years, she has come to an understanding that while being a decent guy, Naruto can easily act greedy whenever he wants to. Now, he can never try to force his will on someone else, but he still is perfectly capable of manipulating other people and doing his bidding and make it seem like he was helping them. Not saying that he never help others, because he do help them, but he only helps anyone else if they have something to offer him in return. He is after all a devil, and devils are greedy and manipulative by nature. She herself is no stranger to that case, seeing as she is a devil too now, and she has had her own moments of selfishness. It took them some time to catch up with her, seeing as she had a head start on them. As soon as they appeared in front of an old, worn-out building, which was at the outskirts of the town, Hannah signaled them to stop and said, Master, I can sense 2 more energy signatures inside that building along with our target, and 5 more heading this way from the town. From the feel of it, the 5 coming this way are devils, and only one of them feels moderately strong. The rest are weak. But one of the signatures inside the building feels nearly as strong as that Nekasha girl we are following, whereas the last one feels small, like it belongs to a child. What shall we do, Master? Turning towards Hana, he said, Hana-chan, you go and stop those 5 devils while Kagaya-chan, and I will go inside that building, see what they want, and try to talk them out of pursuing this Nekashu if you can. If not, then you have my permission to use force if necessary. Now get to it. We have a new person to include in our family, and if my hunch is right, then this will prove even more fruitful for us. Bowing her head, Hana quickly ran away to finish the task given to her by her master. She didn't like the fact that he is going in that building without her being there to protect him, but she also has faith in Kagaya's abilities to perform that task for her. Not saying that her master needs to be protected, seeing as he himself is more powerful than both Kagaya and herself. It's just that she thinks that her master should not sully his hands fighting these ants. That's her job to do. She is his tool after all. Turning around, Naruto made his way inside the building with Kagaya following behind him in order to make sure that nothing can harm her king. Navigating their way inside the building, both king and queen move towards the inner parts where they can sense the Nekashu along with their companions currently is. They had to avoid some booby traps along the way, but managed to do it without making much sound, though they were sure that the hosts of this building are aware of their presence by now. As soon as they entered the last room, they saw a small girl, around the age of 9 years, with white hair laying on top of a torn mattress with a rag placed on her head and a torn gray sheet covering her small body. Standing in front of her in a guarding stance were 2 girls. One of them was the same Nekashu that they encountered earlier, while the other one looked to be around the same age as Naruto. The second girl has black hair with split bangs and hazel gold eyes with cat-like pupils. Sitting on top of her head is a pair of black cat-like ears, and coming out of her back is a black cat tail indicating that she too is a Nekashu. Now that you think about it, that little girl laying in the bed also has a pair of cat ears on her head. Well, damn, it is rare enough to encounter a single Nekashu, and here he is standing in front of not 1, not 2, but 3 Nekashus. Must be his birthday. The mocha-skinned girl, after recognizing their guests, hissed out, Who are you, and why are you following me? Raising his hands up in a placating manner, Naruto said, Relax, I am not here to cause you guys any harm. I was just curious as to why a Nekashu was running around in this part of Underworld and being followed by 5 devils. I just came here to make sure that you were all right, and from the looks of it, you're all right, but your little companion there is not. As for who I am, well, my name is Naruto Gremory, heir of Gremory clan and son of Surzex Lucifer, and this beautiful girl beside me is my queen Kagaya Otsutsuki. Eyes widening in disbelief and shock, the mocha-skinned girl asked again, Surzex Lucifer? As in one of the 4 great Satans? Smiling a bit, Naruto replied, The very same one. Now I may not know much about medical stuff, but I am pretty sure that this little girl is suffering from some kind of disease. I can help. My queen here has some intense knowledge about medicine, so if you don't mind, she can have a look and maybe help her in any way that she can. This time the fair-skinned and black-haired girl spoke with distrust clear in her voice. And pray tell, why should we trust you? You won't be the first person to come here offering help only to just try and stab us in the back. Sighing at the obvious question, Naruto chose to be straightforward with the girls before him. He has already maintained enough eye contact with them to see just what they went through, and by helping them, he will be helping himself too. So with that in mind, he said, look, I will be straightforward with you guys. Yes, I came here with an ulterior motive, but that was before I saw that there is a child in need of help. Now we can either stand here and bicker all day, or we can set these talks aside for later and focus on the main problem at hand for now. If that's okay with you both. Looking towards each other for a few moments, both girls decided to let him help, and if he tries anything funny, then they will do everything in their power to show him just how dangerous a pissed-off cat can be. So, with that in mind, they both nodded their heads and stepped aside to make room for Kaguya, so that she can inspect their little sister. Kaguya stepped forward with a nod and sat down beside the bedridden little girl. The veins around her eyes started to bulge, and her white eyes gained a sharp look to them. Seeing that this has freaked the two girls out, Naruto thought it would be better to explain them before they can perceive it as a threat. So with a sigh, he said, don't worry, it's not anything harmful. You see, Kaguya-chan here has a power to focus her energy in her eyes. This allows her to not only sharpen her vision, but also see through objects, which is what she is doing right now. She is checking if there is anything internally wrong with your sister. If it is, then she will treat it accordingly. If not, then it'll be a good news for you guys. By the way, I forgot to ask earlier, what are your names? Looking at each other again, both girls decided to introduce themselves. This guy has been truthful with them till now, and right now, he is helping their little sister. The least they can do is tell them their names. So coming to a decision, the mocha-skinned girl said, my name is Yuruchi, and this is Kuroka. Then pointing towards the bedridden girl, she said, and that is Chiron. As you have most probably already noticed, all three of us Nekashis. Smiling towards them, Naruto said, those are very beautiful names for such beautiful girls, but if you don't mind me asking, then how come you guys are living in this rundown building? Looking down sadly, Kuroka spoke in a strained voice. About that, well, you see, Chiron and I are sisters, whereas Yuruchi here is our cousin and has been living with us ever since her birth. My mother used to take care of all of us, but 6 months ago, she passed away with an unknown disease. The doctors at hospital refused to treat her because we didn't have enough money, and now Chiron is showing the exact same signs as our mother did before her demise. We have been doing everything in our power to help her, but it's still not enough. Please, you have to save her. I will do anything that you ask of me. Please just save my Chiron. By now, Kuroka has started to cry, showing just how affected she is from all these tragedies happening in her life. Yuruchi wasn't dealing with it much better, as she too has tears flowing down her cheeks as she gripped her cousin's shoulder in a show of support. Frowning deeply, Naruto made to say something, but was interrupted when figure crashed through the window, startling everyone other than Kaguya, who was still focused on diagnosing Chiron. Looking towards the prone figure laying on the floor, Naruto immediately recognized him as a devil from one of the 72 families. He can clearly remember that he had met this guy before in a party, but for the love of Mao, he can't seem to remember his name. Scratching the back of his head in confusion, Naruto looked towards Hana, who entered from the same window right after this man came crashing in the room, and asked, Hana-chan, what is the meaning of this? Who is this man? Bowing towards her master, she replied, forgive me, master, but this man just refused to listen to the reason and was adamant on enslaving the Nekashis. He even tried to capture me, but it seems that was his undoing. As for who he is, well, he is a devil from Furcass family. His name is Jonas Furcass, and we had the unfortune of meeting him in a party held by Bale family last year. Frowning a bit, Naruto said, ah yes, now I remember. He is that Winnie guy who was kicked out of the party for trying to flirt with Aunt Sarah. So he tried to capture you and our new friends here, huh? This sort of behavior requires some punishment. Seal him in an anti-magical barrier so that he won't make a run for it when he will regain his consciousness. I will see to it that he suffers for what he tried to do to you. Nodding her head, Hana said, at once, master, just as she raised her hand in order to perform the task given to her. Naruto caught the sight of a light cut on her forearm which was bleeding slightly. Frowning, he let her finish her task first, and then said, Hana-chan, come here for a moment, please. Following her master's order, Hana came near Naruto and stood in front of him. Though before she could say anything, Naruto took a hold of her injured arm and stared at it for a bit before looking at her face, and staring in eyes intensely with worry clearly written on his face. You are hurt, Hana-chan. Smiling softly, Hana shook her head and said, it's just a flesh wound, master. Nothing for you to be worried about. Frowning a bit, Naruto held her hand a bit tightly and said, you got this flesh wound while following my orders. I shouldn't have sent you alone. Are you hurt anywhere else? Once again, Hannah shook head, all the while smiling at her master's caring attitude, and said, No, I am perfectly fine. Like I said, this is a flesh wound. And the only reason I even sustained it was because I got careless and let my guard down for a moment. But as you can, it was only for a moment. Still holding her hand, Naruto raised his free hand up to her face and gently started caressing her right cheek. Staring in her eyes with a soft look, he said, Just be careful from now on. I don't know what I will do if something were to happen to you. You are very important to me, both you and Kagaya-chan. Blushing a bit, Hannah just continued to smile, contently, all the while nuzzling her face in her master's palm. The warmth radiating from his hand, sending a pleasurable feeling throughout her body. Both Yoruichi and Kuroka continued to look towards the somewhat romantic scene playing before them. Awkwardly. This is the first time that they are seeing something like this, and truth be told, they wouldn't be against the idea of having someone caring for them like these two in front of them. Before anything else could be said, Kagaya spoke. You guys can flirt later, Naruto-sama, but first you need to hear this. Chiron here is actually suffering from a disease caused due to infection from a virus, which if left alone can easily take her life within a month or two. It has already affected her intestines and is slowly making its way towards her kidneys as we speak. Along with that, her immune system is very low at the moment, seeing as this virus attacked her white blood cells and platelets first. This is a transmutable disease, and my guess is that she got this infection from her mother. Both Kuroka-san and Yoruichi-san seems to have it as well, but seeing as their bodies are more mature than little Chiron here, they are not that much affected by it yet. But rest assured, they too will start feeling the symptoms within a year or two. This virus may be slow acting, but it easily become lethal if left unattended, which seems to be the case here. This information caused Naruto and Hannah to frown deeply, while Kuroka and Yoruichi looked at their little sister with worried eyes. Shaking her head a bit, Kuroka then took a few steps towards Kagaya and asked, See, can you save her? Sighing a bit, Kagaya replied, I can, but the truth is that I am not experienced enough to be able to perform a small surgery on her. You both, on the other hand, I can cure easily, seeing as it has yet to attack any of your inner organs properly. The only reason Chiron is even in this condition is due of her immature powers. Her ability to fight back against disease like this was very low due to her age. That's why it is very risky for me to treat her. I am sorry, but only someone with experience and intense knowledge can help her now. Tears started to gather in eyes as Kuroka then turned towards Naruto and said, Why, you are from Gremory clan, right? Surely you can save her. Help us, please. I will do anything in return. Just please help her. I just lost my mother. I cannot lose Chiron-chan too. Taking a hold of her shoulders, Naruto said, Hey, calm down. I know a few people who can cure you guys. I can help you, but there is a problem that can cause trouble for us if I were to go out of my way just to help you. This time it was Yoruichi who stepped towards him with tears in her own eyes and asked, What is it? Tell me, and I will do everything within my power to deal with problem of yours. I don't care what it is as long as Chiron-chan and Kuroka-chan can be safe. Looking towards her, Naruto said with a frown on his face, You see, being the son of current Satan Lucifer, I can't just randomly go around doing whatever I want. All of my actions have some kind of political consequences on not only my father but also on my family, seeing as I am the heir of Gremory clan too. The only way I can personally help you guys is by asking for favors from others, those who can heal you, and it can only be done if you guys were to come under my command. If I go and ask for help without having you under the protection of my family, then it can cause some adverse effects not only for my family, but also for you three, seeing as all three of you are Nekashis. I am pretty sure that nearly every devil family will try to get their hands on you, and I won't be able to save you if we're not under my protection. Now I know how it must look like to you guys, but believe me when I say that this is the only way that I can possibly help you. And the only way I know how to do that is by making either of you a part of my peerage. The whole room went silent as Yoruichi and Kuroka tried to digest what they were just told. They knew that if they agree to this, then they will basically become slaves to this guy in front of them. But what else can they do? They don't have enough money or resources to help their little sister or themselves for the matter. Their best bet is to take Naruto up on his offer, and besides, from what they can see and from what they know of Gremory clan, it won't be such a bad idea since Gremory clan is pretty famous for being compassionate towards their servants. Making up their mind, both girls nodded, signifying their consent to the proposal. Smiling broadly at their response, Naruto said, Excellent choice, girls. I give you my word as the heir of Gremory clan that all three of you will be treated with respect that you deserve. welcome to the family, girls. With that, the devil trio led the three Nekashis towards their new home. XXXX flashback and XXXX. After getting back home, Naruto explained everything to his family. With his father's consent, Naruto went to Citri Clan to seek assistance in this matter, seeing as Citri Clan is well known for their intense knowledge in medical department. With some help from Citri Clan, Naruto was able to fulfill his promise to Kuroka and Yoruichi by saving all three sisters from this deadly virus. Both clans went a step ahead and created a vaccine for this particular virus as a precaution for future. After getting all healed up, Kuroka and Yoruichi were once again offered a place in his peerage, which they have already accepted the first time and did the same second time too, while Chiron was still going through medical treatment, seeing as her body had suffered a huge damage because of the virus. Though she is well on her way to recovery and will be completely healthy within 2 or 3 more months. Naruto reincarnated Kuroka using a bishop piece due to her being a prominent magic user, whereas Yoruichi was reincarnated as a rook due to her preference of fighting up close and barehanded. She already has good speed, which is usually a major setback for rooks. But her natural speed combined with the strength and defense mechanism of a rook has already made her a very deadly opponent to face. Now, even though Citri Clan agreed to help, they didn't do it for free. Nothing in this world is free. Everything done to help others or favors given to friends and allies also have some cost, be it metaphorical or literal. That is also the case here. The head of Citri Clan agreed to help Naruto on the condition of forming a contract with their family in order to further solidify their already existing friendship. And that's exactly what is happening right now. Heads of both Gremory and Citri clans have just finished discussing and signing their new contract. After doing so, Zeoticus summoned Naruto so that he could be made aware of the terms of this contract, seeing as it will affect him the most. Naruto entered the guest room with Yoruichi and Kagaya following behind him. Hana and Kuroka would have also joined them, but they were both busy at the moment. Hana with forming contracts in human world and Kuroka with taking care of her little sister. Stepping in the room, Naruto saw Zeoticus and Vanelena talking with Joseph and Maria Citri, current head and first lady of Citri Clan. Sitting beside Lord and Lady Citri was a young, bespectacled girl around the same age as him. She has black hair styled in short bob cut and violet eyes. This is none other than Sona Citri, heir of Citri Clan and a good friend of Rias and Naruto. Bowing politely towards the elders and sending Sona a discreet smile, Naruto said, "Greetings everyone. I hope that you all are doing well." Smiling at the young man before them, Lord Citri said, Yes, my boy. We are all doing pretty good. You know, you don't have to be so formal with us, right? We are all friends here. Now, why don't you come and sit here so that we can tell you about the terms of the contract that we formed as a payment for helping your new peerage members." Yoruichi became a bit worried after hearing the last part. In her eyes, Naruto has already helped them so much by saving their lives and taking them under his wings when they were on the verge of destruction. He could have left them to fend for themselves or could have used some other unsavory methods to enslave them, but instead he chose to help them, and now he has to pay just for helping them. It all left a bad taste in her mouth. Nodding with the ever-present polite smile on his face, Naruto did as he told and sat down beside his grandmother while Kagaya and Yoruichi moved to stand behind him. Looking towards Joseph, he asked, "Am I correct to assume that this contract has something to do with Sona-chan and me, Lord Citri?" Smiling at the boy's intellect, Joseph replied, "Sharp as ever, my boy. Yes, this contract is formed with you and Sona-chan as its focus points. Now, why don't you ask your grandfather just what this contract entails, seeing as Sona-chan is already aware of the terms and conditions of this contract?" Nodding his head once again, Naruto turned towards his grandfather, who has been silent till now, and stared at him with questioning eyes. Taking it as his K to speak, Zeoticus said, "Naruto, in return of helping you with your problem, Citri Clan has asked for a marriage contract between both of our clans. This contract is formed between you and Sona. This will help in further solidifying the alliance between our clans." Hearing this, the smile on Naruto's face vanished a bit as he asked in a serious tone, "Marriage contract? But I thought that we already have one in place with Phoenix Clan. Won't forming another contract when one is already in power cause political backlash for our clans?" Smiling at his grandson's question, Zeoticus replied, "You are forgetting, my boy. We as high-class devils can have more than one wives. While yes, this can cause some tensions to arise between ours and Phoenix Clan, this still is not something to be worried about." Still with a serious face, Naruto asked, "I see. And what are your thoughts about this, Sona-chan? Do you want this contract to be formed or not? Because believe me when I say that I will never force you to marry me, or anyone else for that matter. Smiling at his consideration, Sona replied, I know Naruto-kun and I feel the same way too. You know that I am more than capable of eliminating any marriage contract like I did with my previous one. That guy was an idiot and he never stood a chance against me. But you are different. I have known you for more than 6 years and just like you, I also value our bond very much. Plus, it's also an upside that you can sometimes beat me in a chess game. Frankly speaking, if I have to form a marriage contract, then I want it to be with you, because you are the only person that I can trust with something like this. Happy after hearing her reply, Naruto gave Sona a bright smile and said, Very well, Sona-chan. If that's what you want, then I will be more than happy to be a part of this contract too. Plus, this contract will benefit all of us as well. But you do know that I will have to marry more than one girl, right? You don't have any problem with it, do you? Shaking her head at the question, Sona replied, No, I don't. I am not naive, Naruto-kun. I know that high-class male devils are allowed to marry more than one person, and your clan already has a contract with Phoenix Clan. All I ask of you is that you treat every one of us equally and respectfully. Nodding his head, Naruto replied in a serious tone, I promise you, Sona-chan, I will always treat all of you with love and respect that you deserve. Just know that if you ever want to get out of this contract, then all you have to do is say it, and I will do everything within my power to help you get free. Smiling at the promise, Sona replied, I know you will, Naruto-kun, and I promise to do the same for you. Happy with the outcome of this conversation, both Lord Gremory and Lord Citri stood up and shook hands, signifying the start of new relationship. Time skip, 1 year later. It's been a whole year since the marriage contract between Gremory and Citri clans has been formed, and life has taken a new turn for Naruto Gremory. Now at the age of 13 years, Naruto stood at the height of 5 feet and 6 inches. His red hair remained of the same length, but his eyes have turned a pure golden color, which sometimes glow with power whenever he fights or is in bad mood. His body has become more muscular without adding more bulk to it. For the whole last year, he has been training his magic relentlessly, opting to master as many techniques as he can. His reserves are already on par with an ultimate class devil, and he has been gaining some experience by taking jobs to eliminate low to mid-level stray devils. Though training wasn't the only thing that he did for the last year. He went on some dates with Sona in order to get to know each other as more than friends. So far, their relationship has been great. They have moved past friend zone and are trying to dabble in something new for them, though both agreed to take it as slow as possible since neither of them wants to rush their relationship. He also spent some time playing with his little brother. Milikas is now nearly 3 years old and has started to talk and walk slowly. The little guy loves to follow his big brother around. Not that Naruto minds it, seeing as he himself loves to spend time with his little brother. Naruto has also taken a role of an elder brother for Chiron, who is now 10 years old. He would always treat her with candies and would always find some time to play around with young Nekashu. In the starting, she was very shy and wouldn't even speak to anyone else other than her sisters, but Naruto soon broke through her shell and became her big brother figure. He just wanted her to have somewhat of a normal childhood. She has been through enough already for someone so young. He just wanted her to be happy from now on. This also earned him respect and loyalty of both Kuroka and Yoruichi. They already respected him since he helped them, but after learning that he has to marry someone just because he helped them, earned him more good points in their books. Now seeing him interact with their little sister, and seeing him treat them like family, just earned him their loyalty too. Truth be told, both girls have started to gain a little crush on their king. His relationship with Rias has taken a weird turn though. Before they always slept together and bathed together in nude, but now that their bodies are going through puberty, it is becoming more and more hard for them to control themselves, especially when slept together, seeing as both of them like to sleep in nude. Rias wasn't the only one who liked sleeping in the same bed as him though. Both Kagaya and Hana always try to find an opportunity to sleep with him. Heck, even Yoruichi and Kuroka have tried doing that too, and with him being the good guy that he is, he never rejects any of their actions or advances, especially not when it involves skinship with such beautiful girls. Today was different though. He went to sleep alone last night because Kagaya went to Human World to form some contracts along with Kuroka and Yoruichi. Rias was at Citri Castle along with Akino. Both went there for a sleepover party for girls only, held by Sona, and lastly Hana had to go on an assignment given to them by Archduke. So, here we find Naruto sleeping in his bed with only a thin sheet covering his bare body. Last night has been a bitch for him since there was no one yesterday for him to snuggle with. He was not able to sleep properly without any of his bedmates, and had been up till very late at night. That was the only reason why he was sleeping so late into the morning. XXXXX Lime. Start XXXXX. His sleep was interrupted, though, as he felt something very warm and wet wrapping around his penis. Moaning at the sensational feeling, he slowly opened his eyes and looked down to see someone moving their head up and down along his length under the sheet, sucking on his penis like a lollipop. Moaning once again at a particularly strong suck, he asked, "I thought you wanted to complete an assignment. How come you got back so early?" The person sucking his dick stopped their ministration and slowly pulled off the sheets from their body. As soon as the sheets were pulled off, Naruto came face to face with Hana, who currently has a 6 inches long dick in her hand and was wearing a see-through dark blue lingerie, giving her master a half-lidded stare. She spoke in a sultry tone, "Ah, I finished it early, master. It was just a C-class stray devil. I killed it quickly since I can't let my master sleep alone. Forgive me for not being here last night, master." Humming in thought, Naruto said, You want my forgiveness, Hana-chan? You know I was not able to sleep properly last night, and it's been a while since you have helped me in relieving some stress. So tell me, Hana-chan, what are you willing to do to earn my forgiveness?" Huh? Moaning a bit while stroking his hard dick, she replied, "I will do anything you ask of me, master. Anything you want." Giving his pawn a smirk, Naruto slowly took a hold of her hand and said, "Well then, why don't you start with taking off lingerie? It's obstructing my view and is making it hard for me to see that beautiful body of yours." Smiling sexily, Hana stood up on the bed with her legs on either side Naruto, giving him a perfect view of her body as she sensually and slowly started taking off her bra and baring her bountiful breasts for her master to feast his eyes on. After taking of her bra, she slowly undid the lace holding her panties in place and let it fall down, now baring her whole body for Naruto. Having enough of the delay, Naruto took a hold of her thighs and pulled her down, making her straddle him with his length rubbing against her nether lips, causing both of them to close their eyes and give out moan. Placing his right on the back of her neck, Naruto pulled her down for a kiss. Hana was more than happy to comply and allowed herself to settle down with her body flushed against Naruto's, and both of their lips moving in a synchronization like this was a regular thing for them. Stroking her tongue with his own, Naruto moved his second hand down to her bottom and took a hold of her ass cheek, groping it to his heart's content and making Hana moan more and more from the feeling. Disconnecting their lips, Naruto started trailing kisses from her neck down to her chest, leaving behind hickeys for the world to see that Hana is his and his alone. Coming face to face with her breasts, he took one of her nipple in his mouth and started sucking it like a man possessed. Moaning even loudly, Hana started bucking her hips, grinding her pussy against his penis at a fast pace, indicating that she is going to come soon. Same was with Naruto, as he too started grinding against her while still sucking on her tits. Suddenly, Hana stopped her grinding, causing Naruto to look up her with a confused look plastered on his face. Wondering what was wrong with her, he asked, "What's wrong, Hana-chan? Why did you stop?" Placing a light kiss on his lips, she said in a tone heavy with want, "It's just that I want to feel you release in my mouth, master. It's been a few weeks since we last did that. I don't want you to waste your seed, master. I want to feel it inside me. I want to taste it, please, master." Smiling up at this beautiful girl laying on top of him, Naruto kissed her once again and then said, "You will have to let me return the favor then." Giving a smile of her own, Hana replied, "Of course, master." Nodding his head, Naruto said, "Good then, let me taste you too, Hana-chan." Picking herself up, Hana this time straddled his face with a, "As you wish, master," and immediately bent her body down so that she can once again take his length in her mouth. As soon as he came face to face with her pussy, Naruto immediately starting eating her out as Hana returned the favor to him by sucking him off with even more enthusiasm than before. Both of them continued to orally pleasure each other for a few more minutes, but seeing as they were already about to come, it didn't took them too long to reach their respective releases. Both gave out a loud moan as Naruto shot rope after rope of his white hot cum in her mouth, filling it to the brim, whereas Hana released her own juices, drenching Naruto's face with her cum. XXXX Lime and XXXXX. It took them some time in order to come down from their high pleasures, but as soon as they did, Hana moved off of her and laid down beside him. Laying her head on his chest, she said, "Thank you for treat, master." Chuckling at her words, Naruto said, "You're welcome, and thank you too for the tasty meal, Hana-chan." Giggling at her master response, Hana gave a content sigh as she snuggled deeper in his embrace and said, "I love you, Naruto-sama." Smiling brightly, Naruto tightened his hold on Hana and replied, "I love you too, Hana-chan." With that, both lovers went back to sleep, completely missing three pairs of eyes peering into the room from the small, open space between the doors. Thanks for watching.